We are online. I hope I am audible clearly. Please let me know if there is any mic issue. We can resolve it right away. Hello, good evening. I think कुछ लैग होता है ना, कितने सेकंड का होता है? ये माइक का नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, क्यों का लैग? गुड इवनिंग, गुड इवनिंग, या तो वॉइस इज क्लियर. ओके, चलो ठीक है सर, थैंक यू. So I have one update, small update. Yesterday there was question number 60 and the question was not read properly by me, तो हमारा आंसर उसमें गलत हुआ था. We need to change the answer. In question number 60, पेन कहाँ गया? हाँ, the answer should be who among the following were referred to as theories in ancient India. It is talking about entire ancient India and not only about Buddhism. So although Theri Gatha is a book of poetry composition among Buddhist nuns, फिर भी यहाँ पे आंसर वुड बी रिस्पेक्टेड वुमेन. थेरीज आर सीनियर और एल्डर्स और थेर इज मेल, थेरी इज फीमेल. So respected male, respected female. That's all. That is the generic meaning, and the question does not talk about Buddhism at all. So answer should be A and not B. We have lots of comments. June में GS Foundation batch कब आएगा? Ashish, I think it will be coming on 24th of June. Second GS batch, but it will be formally announced by the institute in a couple of days, 4 or 5 days maybe. ठीक है, चलो let us start with today's paper. क्या हो गया? 2. Perfect. So we'll start with good evening. We'll start with post-mauryan and try to touch Delhi Sultanate today. The youth syllabus, it will be fun ride once more. We'll try to cover almost 120 130 questions once again today as we did yesterday. कल बस एक बात हुई थी that yesterday in the last half an hour we did lots of questions. I think 30 plus questions were done in last half an hour. थोड़ा सा end में crowding हुआ था. We'll try to avoid that today and try to be as even as possible. अगर PDF complete नहीं होती है, 10-15 सवाल रह जाते हैं, we might extend the session or give some homework or cover tomorrow, but it will not be rushed through. ठीक है, let us start. The first question. Consider the following pairs. We have Besnagar, Bhaza and Sittanvasal on one side, and Shaivite Buddhist shrine, Buddhist cave shrine and Jain cave shrine on the other side. So when we say Shaivite, it should be Shaivite, not Buddhist. But anyway, what should be the answer? Answer should be, I think, so how many of the pairs are correctly matched? So let us try to identify. Besnagar is located in Madhya Pradesh, and in that we have that very famous pillar of Heliodorus, where Heliodorus says that he has become Bhagavata, he has adopted Vaishnavism, and he is building a temple, and for the temple is temple of Vishnu, and in front of Vishnu temple there is this pillar. The temple is lost, but the pillar is still there, so it's a Vaishnava site. Therefore this thing is not correct. Bhaza is very famous and one of the earliest Buddhist caves in Deccan. In the post-Mauryan era, we have the cave art spreading across India and especially in the western Ghats of Satavahanas. So Satavahanas ruled western Ghats, and western Ghats at that time was known for very crowded trade routes because western coast was having oceanic trade with Roman Empire. So lots of people used to cross the Ghats, the merchants, the traders, the common people, etc. Along with them, the Buddhist monks also used to travel. क्योंकि उस zaman का travel कैसे होता था? The travel used to be not alone or in small groups, but in as large groups as possible. Why large groups? Because traveling was very difficult. आप जिंदा वापस आओ ना आओ, जंगल है, चोर है, डकैत है. So in large caravans led by Sarthavaha, the travelers used to go, merchants, traders, pilgrims, and also the monks used to go along with them, share the stories and try to convert them to Buddhism. And these merchants and traders who became very rich in this age of commerce also started to fund these monks. इसीलिए वेस्टर्न घाट में कई सारे केव्स आते हैं सातवाहन एरा में. वेस्टर्न घाट इज ऑफ basalt. Basalt entrapments also lend them very beautifully for such kind of cave excavation. So lots of caves, but one of the initial caves which became very beautiful and very landmark is Bhaza cave. तो भाजा केव पहली नहीं है, one of the first है. It's in Pune districts, and from Bhaza cave we have the first phase altogether going on till the entire सातवाहन era. वहाँ पे एक बाद में आती है वो है कार्ला केव. तो कार्ला इज द एपिटोम, द जेनिथ, शिखर है सबसे सुंदर केव्स का सातवाहन एरा में. और उसकी शुरुआत जो होती है भाजा में होती है. ऑल ऑफ देम आर बुद्धिस्ट केव्स. So this thing is correct. And if you come to Sittanavasal, you know Sittanavasal is in Tamil Nadu, Pudukottai district. It was at that time under control of Pandyas, and Pandyas in that area rather, you have lots of Jain caves. Although the Sittanavasal cave comes from I think 8th or 9th or 10th century, that is early medieval. But the Jain cave structures in deep south in Tamil Nadu go back as far in the past as Sangam era. We have some caves which go to 1st or 2nd century CE near Madurai. इतने पुराने जैन caves वहाँ पे है. But Sittanavasal is very famous, not because it is unique in the way of cave architecture, वो तो बहुत सामान्य है, वैसे कई सारे caves वहाँ पे है, but primarily because it is full of beautiful mural paintings of Jain type. तो वॉल्यूम लो है, it is being checked. ये ठीक हो जाएगा 2-4 मिनट में. Let me continue till that point of time. So this thing is correct. So answer is only 2. 2 is correct. Let us go to next question. Some Buddhist rock cut caves are called chaityas. This is a very simple question, everybody knows. Some are chaityas and some are viharas. UPSC asked this question 10 years ago. पुराने क्वेश्चन बड़े सिंपल हुआ करते थे, है ना. You will see lots of questions on painting, on architecture, temples, caves, etc. used to be extremely simple 10-15 years ago, and now they have become so difficult in some cases. Let us see difference between Chaitya and Vihar. Vihar is a place of worship, Chaitya is the dwelling place. Nah, it is actually the opposite, and we know that. अब ठीक है बोल रहे हैं. Chaitya is a place of worship, while Vihar is the dwelling place of the monks. So what is this? Answer is B. It is simple. Chaitya is a place of worship. Understand one thing about Chaitya, that Chaitya is a place of worship, मतलब Chaitya is a kind of a temple, एक मंदिर है. अब कौन से धर्म का है, कौन सी उपासना पद्धति का है, कौन से पंथ का है, it is not required that Chaitya has to be only Buddhist. There can be any Chaitya of any god, any temple, as long as you have an object of worship. उसको आपने ढकने के लिए कोई छत बनाया हो तो वो बन गया चैत्य. इससे दो चीज़ें होती है. टू थिंग्स दैट आर वेरी क्लियर फ्रॉम दिस. वन इज चैत्य नीड नॉट बी ऑलवेज बुद्धिस्ट. इफ द ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ वर्शिप इज नॉट सम अदर मूर्ति बट अ स्तूपा, if stupa is housed in that structure, then it is a Buddhist chaitya. Although the Buddhist chaityas are very famous, so chaitya is therefore associated with Buddhism a lot, but the word does not necessarily have Buddhist implication. That is one. And the second thing about chaitya is that it need not be cave. Even a brick structure can be chaitya, a stone structure can be chaitya, and a cave also can be chaitya. It doesn't have to be a rock cut architecture for it to be chaitya. बना बनाया ईंटों का structure भी chaitya कहलाया जा सकता है. So that should be clear to you. But here, when we study chaitya and vihar, we generally focus on Buddhist chaitya viharas and also the rock cut chaitya viharas. That is one thing. Now, secondly, when we say chaitya is a place of worship, it means उसके अंदर कोई ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ वर्शिप है. वो क्या है? जनरली स्तूपा होता है. तो चैत्य इनवेरिएबली कम्स विथ समथिंग इनसाइड इट विच इज टू बी वर्शिप्ड एज अ स्तूपा और अ मूर्ति ऑफ बुद्धा इन लेटर एरा. तो आंसर इज बी. एंड विहार इज द हॉस्टल, जहाँ पे आप रह सकते हो. यू नो, इन पाल एरा, in 9th and 10th centuries, lots of viharas were constructed in northeast or the eastern part of India. Palas were ruling Bengal. तो वो विहार कंस्ट्रक्ट किए हैं, वो केव्स नहीं है, केव्स कुछ कुछ है, मेजरली कंस्ट्रक्टेड है ईंटों से, सैकड़ों विहार बना दिए गए एंटायर ईस्टर्न इंडिया में. दैट्स वाई दिस रीजन बिकेम बिहार in much later time. Bihar word has come from Bihar and those are Buddhist viharas. Let us go to next question. With reference to the invaders in ancient India, which of the following is the correct chronological order? It's a very simple question. Can you try to answer that? Question number 132. Greeks, Shakas, Kushanas, Greeks, Kushanas, Shakas, Shakas, Greeks, Kushanas, Shakas, Kushanas, Greeks. What would be the answer? Anybody? Question 132. It's a very simple question. Yes, answer is A. Correct. First came Greeks. Greeks actually had come along with Alexander. You know, one of the, even before Greeks who had invaded India. Let me draw a small timeline over here for you to understand. Let us say this is the Mauryan Empire ka era. Before that, we have Mahajanapada, 6th century to 3rd century, and this is 500 years of post-Mauryan. If you want to plot on this timeline all the different invasions that took place at that era in sequence, how would that look like? Let us say here, when Gautam Buddha is alive, at that time, Gautam Buddha is in Bihar and eastern UP. At exactly that time, in western part, northwestern part, we have Persian invasions of Darius and Cyrus. So we have Persian invasions. Just before the rise of Mauryans, we have Alexander. So here we have Alexander. Now Alexander was Greek only in a way. Today they might debate कि Macedonia Greek है कि नहीं है. Let us call him Greek. Let us not go into that debate. So this is the second invasion. Then over here, Chandragupta Maurya had a battle with Seleucus Nicator. Perhaps there was another attempt which was warded off. After Mauryans were gone, we have Shungas, and Shungas also seem to have continuous war going on with Greeks. But ultimately, you see that the Bactrians, ये अलेक्जेंडर जब आया था अपने साथ लोग लेके आया था, and they were settled in north of Afghanistan, north of Hindu Kush. Bactrians, they came south of Hindu Kush once again and created Indo-Greek empire or kingdom. तो यहाँ पे you have second Greek invasion. We call them second Greek invasion or Indo-Greeks. उसके बाद we have Shakas, we have Parthians, and we have Kushanas. So the proper sequence. But one more thing we should know is that whenever a new invader came, he would displace the old people, old invaders, but would not completely replace them. They continued to exist. They were pushed further inside. So Shakas के बाद Kushanas आए हैं. Maybe Kushanas defeated Shakas. Kushanas also defeated some remnants of Greeks, but Shakas came further inside in Mathura, in Ujjain, in Nashik. They continued to flourish. तो हम जो famous Shaka kings देखते हैं, रुद्रदमन हो या we have other people, Nahapan, etc., they actually are over here इनके बाद. ठीक है. So by that time Kushanas have already come, but the point of entry of Shakas is over here. So simple sequence: Shaka, Greeks, Shakas, Kushanas is the answer. We have Greeks, Shakas, Kushanas. Answer is A, 132. Let us go to next question. Who among the following was not a contemporary of the other three? It's a very simple question. If you know the stories, you would know it. Bimbisar is the one who met Gautam Buddha. प्रसेनजीत के स्कल्पचर्स इतने सारे हैं, कहानियाँ इतनी सारी है of him meeting, trying to meet Gautam Buddha. So Gautam Buddha, Bimbisar and Prasenjit come together often in different stories. तो बच्चे कौन है? Milinda. Why did I put this question in this era and not the earlier era? Because if you know Milinda, Menander, he comes from Indo-Greeks. तो वो आता है post-Mauryan era से. So question can be put over here also. If you know Milinda, answer is solved. The answer is C. Let us go to question 134. Consider the following statements. The last Mauryan ruler Brihadratha was assassinated by his commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Shunga. This is correct. We know the story very well. The last Shunga king Devabhuti was in turn assassinated by his Brahmana minister Vasudeva Kanava, who usurped the throne. This is also correct. And the Kanava dynasty was deposed by Andhras. There was the last Kanava king, possibly his name was Susharma, and he was removed by Andhras. Who are the Andhras? Andhras are nothing but Satavahanas. So, Andhra is the term that is used for Satavahanas in Puranic literature. Puranas call them Andhras, but in the inscriptions which are more contemporary, वहाँ पे Andhra word is generally not used. The word that is used there is Satavahan. So we end up today preferring the word Satavahan rather than Andhra, but historically in Puranas they are called as Andhras. एक interesting चीज़ बता दूँ, although they are called Andhras, they did not begin their career in Andhra Pradesh. They began their career in Maharashtra, near Zunnar or near northwest of Maharashtra somewhere, and gradually created an empire that went till Andhra, and then they conquered eastern coast also, जहाँ पे उनकी मेमोरी आज भी तरोताज़ा है. So although they conquered Andhra much later, they were called as Andhras because that became the prominent identity in later era. One more thing I want to point out, that Satavahanas were patrons not of a Telugu language. So although they are called Andhra today, they have not patronized Telugu because Telugu did not exist back then. The language that they did patronize very well was Prakrit. It was actually a renaissance of Prakrit. भयानक patronage दिया है in their inscriptions, in the scholars, in the books and poetry of that era. Prakrit reached the next level because of the cultural patronage given by Satavahanas. Anyway, so here I think question 134, all of them are correct, 1, 2 and 3. Answer is D. Let us go ahead in question 135. Which the practice of military governorship was first introduced in India by Greeks, Shakas, Parthians and Mughals? It is very simple. It is Greeks. Actually, technically amongst all these four, it is Greeks. What was the governorship? That was called as Satrapi. Or in Sanskrit we call them Kshatrap. So rather than having a civilian government separate from military government, it was a combined thing. Military, civilian fused together, and in different provinces were different Kshatraps who rule. The king is just there for the name. The Kshatrap is the real de facto king. That is the idea. And point is that whenever you conquer a new territory where the civilians may be hostile, and it's a new culture and you want to control with the iron fist, this technique is much better. You see, after World War II, Japan was occupied by America for a long time. But how? Not through civilian government, but through American army. Right? So we have, you can call him Satrap in a way of Japan. But the point here is that although Satrapi may have originated in Greeks, in India it was first brought not by Greeks but by Persians. The Persians were the earlier invaders, and Takshashila region etc. was one of the 20 satrapies of Persians as per the history written by Herodotus in 5th century BC. But the point है कि यहाँ पे Persian option दिया ही नहीं है, so we go with what is available to us. Amongst all these four, Greeks are the oldest, we'll go with the Greeks. Answer will be A. Let us go to question 136. The Indo-Greek kingdom set up in North Afghanistan in the beginning of 2nd century BCE was which one? It's a very simple question. That is, anybody? 136? Correct. Bactria. Okay. So if you look at the map, let me go to the map for a moment. So you have Hindu Kush over here. When Alexander had come and gone by, and there was a battle with Seleucus Nicator, ultimately Greeks were pushed off and used to control this part, and this was Bactria. एंड दे वर वेटिंग एंड वेटिंग, उनको पता था कि मौर्यन आज पावरफुल है, कभी ना कभी होगा वो वीक पड़ जाएंगे, तब अंदर घुसेंगे हम. So they waited for many generations, 3, 4, 5 generations. When Mauryans got weakened, they started to come down. They crossed Hindu Kush and came towards Gandhar side. So when they came towards Gandhar side, you have them coming over here and capturing this region. अब हुआ यूं कि जब उनका सरदार नीचे आके यहाँ पे एक्सटेंड कर लिया तो उनके आपस में झगड़े हो गए. And then they got split into two parts, those who are north of Hindu Kush and those who are south of Hindu Kush. And those who were south of Hindu Kush were called as Indo-Greeks, and those who were north of Hindu Kush, they were called as Greco-Bactrians. So although originally Sara Bactrian tha, initially this entire region became Bactria, but very soon they split. So technically this answer should be Indo-Greeks, but Bactria bhi chal jayega because for some point of time they were one. The answer is A, Bactria. Let us go to question 137. Which one of the following sculptures was invariably used green schist as the medium? अब इसका आंसर क्या है बताइए. क्वेश्चन 137. I am waiting for the answer. I want it to be, see, yesterday we had lots of students in the class offline, so I could interact with them. Today, because of election, the office is closed and we could not allow the offline students, so I am talking only to online students. And when it comes to YouTube, there is some gap, some small gap of 30 seconds, 40 seconds maybe. So when I ask a question, I will have to wait for 30 seconds to get the answer to see whether the answer I am getting are correct or not. So थोड़ा सा lag वाला issue was चलेगा, but what can we do? तो यहाँ पे आंसर D है. D is Gandharan sculptures, correct. So आपने आंसर तो सही निकाल 137D, but the point is that let us try to identify what all stones were used for which different craft. If you go to Mauryan sculpture, what is the stone that is used? It's a Chunar sandstone. If you go to Mathura, what is the sandstone used? Again, you have a sandstone used for Mathura, but this is found nearby Mathura, which is white spotted red sandstone. It's a red, it's a sandstone, but it has got veins of white color, so it looks like spots when you take the cut. So white spotted red sandstone, primarily reddish sandstone. When you come to Bharhut sculptures, well, they are in local sandstone. You don't have to go for one single stone. It's a typical sandstone. Point ये है कि Mathura, Gandhar and Bharhut, all three of them come from post-Maurya. So I have to again explain something to you. Let us say this is the post-Mauryan era altogether, from 200 BCE to 300 CE. It's 500 years long. It's a long duration, and suddenly you don't get to see Kushanas coming, you don't get to see Mathura emerging. वो तो थोड़ा बीच में कहीं होता है. Kushans enter India somewhere here. So here you have Mauryan era and Mauryan sculpture. यहाँ से आगे you have the beginning of Mathura, Gandhar and also Amravati. What is there in between for a couple of centuries, from the decline of Mauryas to the beginning of Kushanas? बीच में जो 200 साल है, excuse me, 200 साल है, उसमें क्या है? तो यहाँ पे you have beginning of Sanchi, the earlier phase, you have Bharhut, you have Bhaza, or you have Karle. So on stupas and in Chaitya Viharas of Buddhists, you already see the sculptures emerging, and these sculptures actually form the background to the emergence of Mathura school. ठीक है, तो सवाल में जो ऑप्शन दिए गए हैं वो इसलिए दिए गए हैं. You should know Sanchi, Bharhut, Bhaza, Karle, all are pre-Mathura in the first phase or first half of the post-Mauryan era in the evolution of sculptures. And somebody is asking ki Bharhut, Sanchi, I think there was a comment I saw just now, but it is deleted now. Yes, Bharhut today is present not at Bharhut, it's in Calcutta Museum or Indian Museum in Calcutta. ठीक है, जगह पे कुछ वहाँ बचा है नहीं. अगर बचता तो it was definitely going to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We lost it in front of our eyes during British era. What can we do? Anyway, let us go to next question. The term Yavana mentioned in ancient Sanskrit text denoted what of the following? Fine variety of Indian muslin, ivory, damsels sent to Greek court for dance performance, and paper. What is the answer here of question 138? It's a very simple question. Please try it out. Paper. Correct. Paper. Black paper. Or it's a black gold. You know, Indian paper had been a very important item of export in Sangam era. We already know that. But उससे भी पहले शायद पेपर एक्सपोर्ट होता था. कितने पहले we don't know. 4th century BCE, 3rd century BCE, or even before that, we have no idea. But there is one suggestion by some historians that जो mummies बनाए, Egyptian mummies, वो जो राजा की और रानियों की डेड बॉडी होती थी, like Tutankhamen and other people, which was preserved through process of mummification. In their process of mummification, एक step involved था कि उनके नाक में यहाँ पे used to keep paper, black paper, जिससे बॉडी प्रिजर्वेशन में हेल्प मिलती थी. एंड इजिप्ट डिड नॉट प्रोड्यूस ब्लैक पेपर. दैट ब्लैक पेपर केम फ्रॉम इंडिया. So Indian black paper was used in the process of mummification in Egypt also. The trade is as old as that. It is count the centuries. So anyway, that is one thing. But when you say Yavana Priya, the word Yavana has a specific meaning here. यहाँ पे it does not mean Egyptians technically. Yavana word has come from a place called Ionian. Ionian island is present in Greece. एंड ग्रीक इन्वेजन्स बाद में हुए, वो लोग यहाँ पे आए, तो वहाँ से लोग जो आए उनको पर्शियन लोग बोलते थे यवना. दिस आयोनियन बिकेम यवना इन पर्शिया, एंड व्हेन इट केम टू इंडिया द वर्ड बिकेम यवन. So technically the word Yavan originally meant not all the foreigners but only Greeks, or later on Romans. तो जैसे जैसे वो वर्ड डाइल्यूट होते गया, the meaning from only Greeks to Greco-Romans to everybody who is foreigner. It became a generic term for foreigners in later centuries, but original meaning was only Greeks. When you call it Yavana Priya, हम बस कहना चाहते हैं कि वेस्टर्न लोगों को पसंद आने वाली चीज़. अब इट इज़ नॉट नेसेसरीली ओनली ग्रीक्स हियर. ठीक है. एनीवे, लेट अस मूव टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग was the capital of Indo-Greek ruler Menander? What is the answer here? तक्षशिला होगा क्या? क्या होगा बताइए. हमने कल इसकी बात करी थी थोड़ी सी. Anybody? Yes, correct. It is Sagala or Shakala. Shakala, also called as Sagala, and today it is known as Sialkot. It is, as I said yesterday only, one of the most important cantonment towns of Pakistani army today. Incidentally, it is also the birthplace of Faiz Ahmad Faiz. ठीक है. So Sagala is the answer. Let us go to the next question. Question 140. Which of the following ports, according to Periplus, was located on the western coast? Sopara, Barbaricon, Poduke, and Muziris. Let me draw the map of India, or चलो ही map ही draw करते हैं. Let's try to plot all these ports one by one. Where is Sopara? Sopara is in Mumbai. यहाँ पे दो पोर्ट्स थे, सोपारा एंड कल्याण. This Sopara and Kalyan were both very important Mauryan and post-Mauryan era ports. Sopara mein we have found one of the Ashokan rock edicts also. So Sopara is important port, and Kalyan is also important port. It is not for no reason that since the 1st century CE till the 9th and 10th century CE, लगभग 1000 साल तक in the city of Mumbai, which today we call as Mumbai, we have very important cave complex called Kanheri. Kanheri is a very dense and very important Buddhist cave complex which today is inside Mumbai, but even when Mumbai was not there, उसके 1000 साल पहले For 1000 years, it is one of the largest Buddhist settlements of monks. Kandiri wahin pe hai, Sopara and Kalyan, they had very strong trade with Roman Empire. And north of it, over here, we have something called as Barbaricum. Barbaricum is nothing but Bhrugu Kachha. Today we call as Bhadoch. So Bhadoch, Bhrugu Kachha, Barbaricum are one and the same. So you have Sopara here, Barbaricum there. You have Muziris. Muziris is over here in Kerala. The most important port in the western coast had been Muziris for Roman trade in the post-mauryan era. It was lost, इतना important port है, सब जगह दुनिया भर में इसके बारे में लिखा गया है. This port was lost. We could not find it for hundreds of years. In 20-30 years ago, it was rediscovered by some historians and archaeologists. Now we call it Pattanam. Pattanam. There was again a debate कि क्या पत्तनम ही मुजिरिस है या नहीं है. It is now resolved. It is the Muziris port only. तो ये तीनों चीजें on the western coast. Poduke is nothing but Pondicherry, Arikamedu. So that is on the eastern coast. So answer would be 3 is wrong. So it should be 1, 2 and 4. Answer is B. Okay. Let us move to the next question. Question number 141. Which one of the following is not the work of Ashwaghosha? Ashwaghosha was a person who came from Kushan era. He was possibly the contemporary of Kanishka. This story that Kanishka once besieged some Indian city, and to get free from Kanishka he was given some ransom, and one of the ransom item was Ashwaghosha the scholar. So from eastern India he went to western India with Kanishka. उसने बहुत सारी किताबें लिखी हैं. Buddha Charit, for example, is a very well known book of Ashwaghosha. In Buddha Charit, it is one of the first Sanskrit Charitas available to us. इसके पहले चरित हमें जनरली नहीं मिलते. It is much later, from Harsha onwards, in the post-Gupta era, Charitas became very common for secular personalities also, but originally it was for religious people. They were hagiographies, and Buddha Charita is Sanskrit Buddha's hagiography written by Ashwaghosha. So वो तो आंसर नहीं है. Then we have Sariputta Prakarana. Sariputta Prakarana. Sariputta कौन? Sariputta was one of the most important disciples of Buddha, a very famous one. दो लोग थे, Sariputta and Mogallana, or Modgalayan as they call him. Sariputta and Mogallana, both of them were childhood friends. Both of them became followers of Buddha, and both of them rose in hierarchy very quickly. They became favorite of Buddha. So much so that Sariputta was given 2 important tasks by Buddha. Pehla task is that he was the first disciple of Buddha who was given authority to ordain other monks. बाकियों को बुद्धिज्म के अंदर भिक्षु बनाने का अधिकार सबसे पहले बुद्धा ने किसको दिया होगा? तो सारिपुत्त को दिया. He was such a learned person. Not only that, he was also given the task of managing संघा. तो कौन सा भिक्षु क्या काम करेगा, डिसिप्लिन कैसे मेंटेन होगा, विनया कैसे इन्फोर्स होगा, कंप्लीट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड मैनेजमेंट ऑफ बुद्धिस्ट संघा वाज डन बाय सारिपुत्त. अनफॉर्चुनेटली सारिपुत्त डाइड बिफोर बुद्धा डाइड. कहा जाता है कि उसको सपना आया बुद्धा मरने वाला है. हाउ कैन ही सी बुद्धास महापरिनिर्वाण? ही वुड नॉट टॉलरेट दैट. तो ही फर्स्ट डाइड हिमसेल्फ अ फ्यू मंथ्स बिफोर बुद्धास डेथ. ये कहानी है, जो कुछ हो. पॉइंट के सारिपुत्त डाइड बिफोर बुद्धास डेथ. That's why at the time of death of Buddha, as per Mahaparinirvana Sutta, Ananda पूछता है, Buddha tell me, Buddha tell me. Now Sariputta is dead. Now you are about to die. Who will be our leader when you are gone? So that question also shows the status of Sariputta, a very important person. तो उसके बारे में जो कहानी लिखी है, that is also in Sanskrit. It is Sariputta Prakarana written by Ashwaghosha. So this also is not correct. The third question, the C, is Saundarananda. This thing we discussed yesterday already. Nanda was half brother of Gautam Buddha from his Masi and stepmother, that is Mahaprajapati Gautami. And वो सारी कहानी हमने कल ही देखी है. So Saundarananda is also Kavya by Ashwaghosha. So यहाँ पे A, B and C are the compositions of Ashwaghosha. Answer is Manjushri Mulakalpa. And this question can also be done in a reverse way. if you understand Buddhist tantric Buddhism rather, then you would know Manjushri Mulakalpa is a very important text. जैसे in case of Mahayan or Mahayan, Pradnya Paramita Sutra is a very important text. Similarly, for Tantrayan or for Vajrayan, Manjushri Mulakalpa is a very important text. And it must be later era because Vajrayan emerges much after the time of Kanishka. Kanishka के समय तो महायान ही बनना शुरू हुआ है. तो by that logic also अश्वघोषा के कंटेम्पररी किताब तो नहीं हो सकती. So answer is D, Manjushri Mulakalpa. Let us go to question 142. Consider the following statements about Kanaganahalli archaeological site. Now let me clarify one thing here and now. It is not Kanganahalli. I have seen many people mispronouncing it. I don't want to put too much of a force on correct pronunciation because we have seen what happened in JNU couple of days ago between Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak and Ashish Kumar, that debate about the pronunciation of Dubois or Dubois. तो उतना तो हम नहीं करेंगे, but at least in this case there is A over here, spelling सही अगर हो, इसीलिए Kanaganahalli and not Kanganahalli. This Kanaganahalli is present in northeast of Karnataka. ठीक है, तो उसके बारे में पूछा है. It is situated on the bank of Bhima river. Emperor Ashoka's image was found at the site and sculptures of various Satavahana kings are also located here. यहाँ पे आंसर क्या होगा? Anybody? What is the answer of 142? Let us see some responses. Akshay is correct. Akshay's answer is D, 1, 2 and 3, all of them. Okay. So it is located on the bank of Bhima river. Bhima river when enters that part of Karnataka. It originates in Maharashtra, but this goes in Karnataka before meeting Krishna. So that is one thing. Secondly, Ashoka's image was found at this site. UPSC has already asked this question, so we know that not only there is Ashoka's image, but there is also the word Raja Ashoko or Randiyo Ashoko, which is the definite identification of that sculpture. So second is also correct. And third thing, which is not asked by UPSC so far and not present in many of the books and notes, that this stupa at Kanaganahalli was possibly constructed originally by Ashoka. Who knows? The core may be Ashokan, but it was enlarged and beautified by Satavahanas. It belongs to Satavahan era. उस समय वहाँ पे सातवाहनों के स्कल्पचर्स भी पाए गए हैं. एंड इट इज इंटरेस्टिंग अंडरस्टैंड दैट सातवाहन एरा स्कल्पचर्स आर फाउंड. Satavahana kings, sculptures of Satavahana kings and queen also are found on the walls of the broken Kanaganahalli stupa. That is one place. Secondly, we also see the Satavahan era sculptures of Satavahana kings on the walls of Nane Ghat in Maharashtra near Bhimashankar. तो नाणे घाट और नाने घाट में भी सातवाहन एरा किंग्स एंड क्वींस के स्कल्पचर्स है, बट दे हैव नॉट सर्वाइव्ड टुडे. व्हाट हैज सर्वाइव्ड इज ओनली द लेग्स. बस उनके पैर बचे हैं और कुछ नाम बचे हैं, स्कल्पचर टूट गए. एंड इंटरेस्टिंगली, परहैप्स एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी ऑल्सो हैव द कंटेम्पररी ग्रेट प्ले राइट भास. भास वाज अ ग्रेट संस्कृत ऑथर who wrote many dramas, 13 of which have survived partially, some on Ramayana, some on Mahabharata also. So in one of the natakas written by Bhasa called Pratima Natakam, which is based on Ramayana, उसमें कहानी ऐसे है, राम निकलते हैं वनवास को. तो उस समय उनकी यादगारी में भरत जो है वो राम लक्ष्मण सीता की मूर्तियाँ बनाता है. तो राजा रानी की मूर्तियाँ बनना was perhaps because in the drama उसी समय लिखा हुआ है, सातवाहन एरा possibly. So in Pratima Natakam we have Pratima Gruha. In Pratima Gruha, Bhasa tells us Murti of Ram Lakshman Sita is there. Secondly, in Naneghat we have the physical evidence of the Murtis of Satavahana kings and queens which are destroyed now or they have not survived. And in Kanaganahalli also we have the Murtis which have survived on the broken pieces of sculptures in Karnataka, again of Satavahana era kings and queens. Anyway, so answer here would be D, all of them are correct. Let us go to question 143. 143. With reference to the Mathura school of art, consider the following statements. Mathura school was influenced by stories of Buddhism, Jainism and Hinduism. Is it correct? Yes, it is correct, because unlike Gandhar, Gandhar was exclusively Buddhist. Amravati was also exclusively Buddhist, but it is only Mathura which was very inclusive of all the sects of Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Buddhism, Jainism, everything. Rather, not only was it inclusive, it was the place jahan pe iconography of the gods of all these sects was for the first time formed. भगवान दिखेगा कैसा, उसकी शुरुआत मथुरा में होती. So point 1 is correct. It primarily used bluish grey sandstone for making the sculpture. अब ऐसे तो कुछ है नहीं. We have just now seen that the primary material for Mathura was white spotted red sandstone. So statement 2 is wrong, incorrect. Statement 3, it was influenced by the traditions of Bharhut and Sanchi. We have just now seen that in the map, that Bharhut and Sanchi definitely influenced. कहाँ पे था वो? Definitely influenced. अच्छा यही तो है. हाँ, Bharhut and Sanchi influenced Mathura. So this part is correct. So 1 and 3 are correct, 2 is wrong. Answer is B, only 2. Let us go to question 144. Consider the following statements regarding Sanchi and its archaeological findings. Sanchi was discovered in 1818 by Henry Tyler in a dilapidated condition. Well, this fact you would not know. It is correct. It is correct. Sanchi was discovered in 1818. ये जो 1818, 1819 ये जो era है ना, it's very interesting. This entire region of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh was a Maratha territory. British just started to occupy the region after Third Anglo-Maratha War. At that time, they were trying to do survey. They had already started the trigonometric survey in South India. They are about to reach this area also. उस समय उनके लोग यहाँ वहाँ फैल के नई नई जगह ढूंढते रहते थे. So we see the discovery of Ajanta and discovery of Sanchi. इनमें ज़्यादा 2-4 साल का ही अंतर है. Ajanta was discovered by John Smith and Sanchi was discovered by Henry Tyler almost at the same time. Almost at the same time, in a newly conquered territory from Marathas into British hand. Animals depicted at Sanchi include elephants, horses, monkeys and cattle. Generally ऐसे statement true ही होते हैं, यहाँ पे सारे सही है. So answer is both 1 and 2. Let us go to next question 145. Consider the following statements. The official language of Satavahanas was Prakrit, written in Brahmi script. We just now discussed Prakrit in Brahmi script. Brahmi was the main script at that time from north to south for all the languages. Sanskrit also, Prakrit also, and even for Tamil, we have Tamilian Brahmi. So from Tamil to Sanskrit, every language was written at that time. As far as we have evidence, script was Brahmi only. So Brahmi is the mother script of almost all Indian scripts surviving today. In Satavahana mostly used lead coins. It is also correct. We have lead coins, some tin and pottery also, but we have very rare silver coins of Satavahan. Generally lead coins are used, and that is a good sign, because if we have a low denomination coin, saste wale coin, chote wale coin, kam value wale coin, it means they are used in daily transaction. It points towards higher monetization of society. Good point. Third is, the Satavahanas were the first to grant tax-free land to Brahmanas. Yes, land gift may be very older. Even in Mahabharata there is land gift. So land gift is not a new thing, not started by Satavahanas. What did Satavahanas start? Is land is gifted along with something called as parihara. And what does parihara mean? It means privileges and exemptions. So what was the parihar given by Satavahanas for the first time? That they don't have to pay the taxes. Zameen to mili, tax bhi mat bharo, tax free. So that is a parihar. That is the new tradition started by Satavahanas for the first time. Right? As the time went by, the list of pariharas went on increasing and becoming longer and longer. But यहाँ पे छोटी मात्रा में concept की शुरुआत है. Satavahanas are the first, and we know that from inscriptions in Nashik and Naneghat. So this also is correct. So answer is all D, 1, 2 and 3. Let us go to question 146. Who among the following were the contemporaries of Kanishka. नागार्जुन, अश्वघोष, वसुमित्र, कंबन, बाणभट्ट, अश्वघोष, कालिदास, बाणभट्ट, कालिदास, कंबन, वसुमित्र. What is the answer? Anybody? 146. Answer is A. Correct. Answer is A. Nagarjun, Ashwaghosh and Vasumitra. Right. When was Banabhatta there? Banabhatta was contemporary of Harsha. He wrote Harsha Charita. And you have Kalidas, who was possibly in the Gupta court, Chandragupta II, possibly, or sometime in Gupta. So that is also not true. And Kamban is a person who wrote Ramayana in Tamil, Kamba Ramayana, and he came much later in Chola or just about that in deep south. So again, that is not true. So we have Nagarjun, Ashwaghosh, Vasumitra. Point is answer is A. Okay. 146 A. 147. Which of the following pairs is or are not correctly matched? Now this question is going to be a little bit different for you because maybe except for the first fact, the other two facts don't come from your regular reading. Let us try to see. What is the answer to 147? Can you guess? Gatha Saptashati, or as we call it in Prakrut, Gatha or Gaha Sattasai. In Prakrut it is called as Gaha Sattasai. It was compiled, not composed, compiled by Hala. Hala is one Satavahan king, and we don't know much about Hala. This Gaha Sattasai is a collection of poems by common people, male, female, sab kuch, by Hala into one book. And यहाँ पे we have emotions of love and separation, anger and jealousy and everything. It's a very earthy kind of fantastic book. हम अपने क्लास में कभी कभी एक दो कविता उससे पढ़ते भी किताब लेके, right? Then बृहत कथा कोश by Gunadhya. This also is very true that Gunadhya wrote Bruhat Katha Kosha. He was also a scholar in Satavahana court, and this also is a book in Prakrut. Rather, it is not exactly Prakrut, it's a version of Prakrut called Paishachi. So this Prakrut actually had many regional versions. We have Maharashtri Prakrut in Maharashtra, we have Paishachi Prakrut, we have Magadhi Prakrut, we have Shauraseni Prakrut. This Prakrut actually means common language of common people. It has many regional versions or dialects, so to say. So this one was in Paishachi dialect of Prakrut, but again in Satavahan court. And then we have Kantantra, or sorry, Katantra. Katantra is by Sarva Varmana. This is also correct. So Katantra is by Sarva Varmana, but this thing is actually on Sanskrit grammar. Sanskrit grammar. It's a commentary on the earlier books, that is by Panini's Ashtadhyayi, by a person called Sarva Varmana. So we have Prakrut and Sanskrit. All these three people, Hala was Satwan king himself, Gunadhya and Sarva Varmana, as per the tradition, were associated with Satvahana court. Answer is 1, 2 and 3. All of them are correct. And the pronunciation here is Katantra. Okay. Let us go to next question, 148. With reference to the ancient South India, Korkai, Pumpuhar, Muchiris were well known as. Now it's a very simple question. Let me know the answer very quickly. What is the answer here? Korkai, Pumpuhar, Muchiris. Acha, which of the not correctly matched is asked? अच्छा, तो ये थोड़ा सा एरर हो गया यहाँ पे, ये नहीं चाहिए. इट इज करेक्टली मैच्ड. इफ इट इज नॉट, देन आंसर शुड बी नन ऑफ द अबव. ठीक है, थैंक यू फॉर पॉइंटिंग दैट आउट. यहाँ पे कोरकई, पुम्पुहार, मुचिरिस, all of them were ports. Correct, they are ports. Pumpuhar is located where? Somewhere over here we have Pumpuhar. Pumpuhar is also known as only Puhar. Sometimes Puhar, sometimes Pumpuhar. It also has third name. Third name is also very famous. It is Kaveri Pattinam. Kaveri Pattinam. So Kaveri Pattinam, Puhar, Pumpuhar, all three are the names of the same site, and that site apparently is somewhere at the mouth of Kaveri, but the exact location is gone today because Kaveri Delta is also a little bit huge and the shifts of river shifts over centuries. तो हमें एग्जैक्ट पुम्पुहार कहाँ पे है क्लैरिटी नहीं है, जहाँ भी है समुद्र के अंदर गया हुआ है, जहाँ भी होगा हम ढूंढ लेंगे एक दिन, बट इट इज़ द सेम थिंग पुम्पुहार. Mucheries we already know over here, and Korkai is over here. Korkai is in deep south. It was a very famous Pandya port. तो इसमें खास बात यह है that Korkai is the Pandya port, Pumpuhar is the Chola port, and Mucheri is the Chera port. So from three Sangam era main dynasties, main kings, main kingdoms, we have three important ports, each of them. And Korkai is known for one specific thing, that is pearl fishing. Pearl fishing. These fishes which were pearled, so these pearls which were fished, that were brought to the main market of Pandyas over here, that was Madurai. And from Madurai, it was sent all across the world. That is why in the 1st century BCE, you have the invasion of south by Kharavela. And when Kharavela invades deep south, in his Hathi Gumfa inscription, he has clearly said that he has brought the pearls of Madurai back to his region Kalinga. मतलब वो कहना चाहता है कि मदुरई उसने लूट ली है, बट कहने का तरीका बड़ा पोएटिक है, मैंने वहाँ से मोती लाए. कौन से मोती होते भाई वहाँ पे? वो मोती होते कोरकई पोर्ट से. तो कोरकई के मोती पूरी दुनिया में बड़े नामचीन थे उस ज़माने में. इवन इन द रोमन बुक्स द पर्ल्स ऑफ मदुरई एंड कोरकई आर वेरी वेल मेंशन्ड. इट्स अ पांड्या टेरिटरी. ठीक है, लेट अस गो टू नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Which of the following explains the practice of Vattakirutal as mentioned in Sangama poems? This is, at that time people found the question to be difficult, but okay, confidence. Okay, Vijay. Now, what is the answer over here? Vattakirutal. We know that in Sangam era there was a tradition of heroism, hero worship. We have two types of poems, Akam and Puram, and the Puram poems are about wars, battles and heroism. So वहाँ पे you know that the valor and the chivalry is praised in society. Secondly, these people are fighting village against village, town against town, the kingdom against kingdom. Continuous warfare is going on. You need to defend your place, and the cattle raids are also very common. So you have to have population and and the king who can safeguard you. तो उस ज़माने में अगर कोई डरपोक निकला तो उसकी इज्जत नहीं जाती थी पूरी. We have for such kind of kings, संगम यहाँ पे a king defeated in a battle committing ritual suicide by starving himself to death. कि जो राजपूत शिवलरी थी एक ज़माने में कि हमने वार पीठ पे नहीं खाए, पेट पे खाए हैं, सीने पे खाए हैं, सेम बात यहाँ पे थी. अगर आप युद्ध में हार गए तो आपकी इज्जत नहीं रही, अब आप मर जाओ. So that was the practice of Vattakirutal. Answer is D. Which one of the following statements about Sangam literature in ancient South India is correct? Question 150. Any answer of 150? It's a very simple question. Let me read all the options. Sangam poems are devoid of any reference to material culture. It is untrue. In the mains also, they have asked this question in the past, in GS paper 1, that how do we paint the picture of Sangam society and economy based on Sangam literature. So had Sangam literature not had the details of a material culture, आप कैसे पेंट करते इकोनॉमी का पॉलिटी वहाँ से? तो one is wrong. The social classification of Varna was known to Sangam poets. तो एक बात तो है, Varna system was not there at that point of time, but it was known to the people. Then Sangam poems have no reference to warrior ethic. ये भी गलत है. संगम पोएम हमने अभी देखा, Vattakirutal is nothing but extension of this point only. एंड संगम लिटरेचर रेफर्स टू मैजिकल फोर्सेस एज इरेशनल, ये भी गलत है. तो which of the following is correct? Social classification of Varna was known to Sangam poets. That is true. That is correct. Varna system was not their primary classification. They had their Tinai system. Tinai system. But there is emergence of Brahmanas, and Brahmanas now become the upper layer. So we have the admixture of old Dravidian ethics and North Indian Varna system. So it is not the Varna of fourfold classification. तो वो वर्णा साउथ में नहीं है, बट देयर इज सम अवेयरनेस ऑफ एटलीस्ट ब्राह्मणास. दैट इज वन पार्ट. सो दिस सेंटेंस, ये जो थोड़ा सा सेंटेंस भी है, सोशल क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ वर्णा वाज नोन टू संगम पोएट्स, ये थोड़ा सा डाइसी स्टेटमेंट है. बाय वर्णा इफ दे मीन ओनली ब्राह्मण, in that case this statement is true. But if by varna they mean entire fourfold hierarchy, then this statement is untrue. But एक बात तो तय है, even if B is doubtful, एक बात तो है, संगम लिटरेचर refers to magical forces irrational, ये गलत है. What we have is that something called as ananku. Ananku is supposed to be a kind of a magical forces, and these magical forces are supposed to possess the woman. ऐसे होता है कि भूत आता है, देवी आती है, and some kind of spirit possesses women, and then you have to treat women. तो इसके बारे में you have some details संगम literature, तो उसको उन्होंने सही माना है, इसलिए this statement is actually incorrect, और तीनों correct. हम उसको लेके चलेंगे, तो आंसर would be here D. ठीक है, which is incorrect. It should be incorrect. Answer is D. D is incorrect. Let us go to the next question. थोड़ा error हो गया इसमें, incorrect चाहिए था. Anyway, 151. नहीं, अच्छा, it is correct. Let me verify this question. Incorrect, correct. Can you see online? Is it a correct or incorrect question? क्या है 151 का, 150 का? Let me know what was the exact original question by UPSC in 2022 and tell me. तब तक हम आगे जाते हैं. With reference to Sangam age, consider the following statements. The first Sangam is believed to have to be held at Kapadapuram. Is it right or wrong? We know there are 3 Sangams. You know, interestingly, संगम के बारे में जो मान्यता है, it is majorly mythological. That Sangam 1, Sangam 2 and Sangam 3. The Sangam 1 took place some hundreds and thousands of years ago in place called Madurai, ancient Madurai. So for first Sangam it is Madurai. A second Sangam took place at a place called Kapadapuram. So this should be second Sangam. The first line is incorrect. The first Sangam took place in Madurai. The second Sangam took place in Kapadapuram. The third Sangam again took place in Madurai. तो पहला तो गलत है, दूसरा भी गलत है. Answer is neither one nor two. But my point is something else. My point is that Sangam word in itself does not exist in Sangam literature, by the way. It is actually added much later by Nayanar saints. The Nayanar saints went from village to village and they compiled all these poems together and put into one kind of compendium and they started calling it Sangam. So ये possibility है that there may have been some assembly of poets back then, but the idea of what those assemblies were and how huge they were and how long they were, etc., are later ideas that came in the era of Nayanars and Alvars. It was done primarily by Nayanar saints in Pallava era. So ये point मुझे बताना था. But anyway, so here answer is neither one nor two. अच्छा, so Venkatesh, Vijay, so answer, the question is correct only, right? अगर correct वाला ही सवाल है ये, then D is incorrect, warrior ethic भी incorrect है, devoid of any reference to culture, तो answer is B only. If it is correct, तो answer has to be B. ठीक है. एक और चीज़ बताऊँ, यहाँ पे ना एक बहुत बड़ा डिबेट होता है. What is the process of Aryanization of South India? We have old Dravidian ethic, Dravidian culture, original culture, and then at the same time we have the migration of North Indians to South India and admixture of culture. So in the same Sangam poetry, In the same Sangam poetry, there are some elements which are purely Dravidian, and there are some elements which clearly show the influence of northern culture, like awareness of Varna system. पूरा डिबेट यहीं पे होता है that the Tamil chauvinist would say देखो हमारा ओरिजिनल कल्चर कैसे था, and a North वाला would say देखो from the very beginning you have references of North India, of Ramayana, Mahabharata and all other things. Tolkappiyam talks about marriage ritual being brought to south by north by Brahmins, etc. You have Puranic stories of Parshuram, etc. So you in this very same body of poems, Sangam literature gives you two perspectives. On one hand, what was the original Dravidian culture, and on the second hand, from the very beginning you see admixture of north and south. दोनों वहाँ पता चलता है. तो इस क्वेश्चन को आप उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में समझिए कि वर्णा सिस्टम वाज नोन टू साउथ, ऑल्दो इट इज नॉट southern or southern in origin, it was already known at the very beginning of southern civilization. Then let us go to the question number next, that is 152. With reference to the dynasty and their capital, which of the following pairs is not correctly matched? Chera, Vanji, Pandya, Madurai, Chola, Urayur, Pallava, Amaravati. तो क्या इसका आंसर होगा, कोई बताए? Venkatesh is saying D. Why? What was the Pallava capital then? Venkatesh? Correct. Kanchipuram. Perfect. So it should be Kanchipuram. Amaravati is in Andhra Pradesh, which was the later capital of Satavahanas. Satavahanas initially had their capital somewhere near Junnar, but for majority time the most famous capital of Satvahana is Pratishthan or Paithan on the banks of Godavari at the heart of Maharashtra. And once they were pushed down by Shakas, they went south and east towards Andhra and they created Amaravati as a great capital. Amaravati was Satavahan capital. Kanchipuram is in north of Tamil Nadu and that was the original Pallava capital. It's 50 kilometers inside from Chennai. Then which of the following statements accurately defines guild? A very simple question. 153. What would be the answer? आप तुरंत बताइए. थोड़ा सा ट्रिकी है बट सिंपल है. करेक्ट. लेटर अमरावती. Association of people of the same caste doing the same occupation. Association of people of the same caste doing different occupations. Association of people of different caste carrying same occupation. And association of people different caste different occupation. अब बताइए क्या? Vijay Singh, answer should be A. Are you sure? Anybody else? Akshay is saying C. थोड़ा सा tricky question इसलिए है because originally the answer is C. It should be C. That people from different caste also can come together, but occupation has to be same. So you have guilds of traders and merchants. For example, you may have Ayyavole 500 or Aihole 500, a very famous guild of entire South India. People from different communities and regions came together and they would also trade in different commodities, but they are all primarily specific type of traders. You have some guilds of only craft people or craftsmen, like for example Potters Guild or Iron Workers Guild or Textile Workers Guild or Suvarnakar, the Joharionka Guild, etc. And you also have sometimes association of primary producers. It is interesting. You have in Chola era, you see in Chola era, that is the early medieval imperial Chola era, you have the farmers also coming together, producers, and then selling their commodities to some other people. FPO kind of thing, somewhat like that existed back then. So you have different types of, but primarily guild एक चीज का एक होता है. So guild is supposed to have same occupation, that's a requirement. Now people may come from different castes, it is allowed. What happened in some cases? In some cases that over time Over time, the guilds themselves became primary identity and became caste associations. ये बहुत बाद में, सदियों के बाद धीरे धीरे हुआ, and ये हमेशा सबके लिए नहीं हुआ. So this is also true, but for some guilds in later era, but it is not universally true. But this thing is primarily important, so answer has to be C. Let's go to question 154. Which of the following Sangama texts contains the element of Dharma Shastra, Artha Shastra and Kama Sutra as well? Important and interesting question. Anybody? What is the answer to 154? Yes, it is Kural. Kural. Tiruvalluvar wrote Tirukural. Kural is a type of a जैसे जापानीज में हाइकू होता है, इंग्लिश में सोनेट होता है, वैसे एक तमिल लैंग्वेज में कुरल नाम का एक पोएटिक स्ट्रक्चर होता है, छोटी सी कविता होती है. एंड यू हैव मेनी सच कुरल्स पुट टुगेदर. दे आर कंपोज्ड बाय अ पर्सन कॉल्ड तिरुवल्लुवर. तिरुवल्लुवर. तो तिरु इज द वर्ड विच मीन्स श्री in North India. Shri in North is Tiru in South. So when we have Tirukural is Shri Kural, and composer or compiler both is Tiruvalluvar is Shri Valluvar. उसकी बड़ी सी आपने मूर्ति देखी होगी standing in Kanyakumari. So answer is Kural. They are very wise aphoristic poems. It belongs to post-Sangam era literature, a very important one. And generally in Tamil Nadu you will see that in every house we have one physical copy of Tirukural even today. Like I always say, in North India, in the Hindi belt where people understand Hindi, har ghar mein, in every house you have one copy of Ramacharitmanas. Likewise in Tamil Nadu, every house will have a copy of Tirukural. So much is its importance. Tirukural. You should read sometime the English translation of Kurals. Very beautiful. I recommend 2 books always. मतलब बाकी भी किताबें बहुत सारी है. एक है English translation of Dhammapada, Gautam Buddha's utterances and sayings. Dhammapada, fantastic one. And Tiruvalluvar's Tirukural, again because I don't understand Tamil, in English, but still it is very fantastic. Let us go to Gupta Era. Question 155. I think we are going little slow today, right? थोड़ा स्पीड बढ़ा दे क्या? कहानियाँ थोड़ी ज़्यादा हो रही है. सिलेबस का नहीं. अरे ज़िंदगी बहुत लंबी है, आराम से पढ़ लो, है ना. थोड़ा स्पीड बढ़ा दे. Okay, chalo de. Gupta Era. Which of the following monarchical power existed in India after the decline of the Kushan Empire and before the rise of Guptas? Now this is a very simple question. Naga, Malava, Abhira, Ikshvaku, Vakataka, Yaudheya. So we can go in reverse way as well, that Malav and Yaudheya were actually 2 important Ganasanghas. Ganasanghas which existed in the pre-Mauryan era, in the Mahajanpad era, and they gave very strong fight to Alexander. तो ये तो clearly कट हो जाएंगे 2 and 6. अगर 2 और 6 चले गए तो बचे क्या? 1, 4, 5 and 1, 3, 4, 5. What will be the answer? 1, 3, 4, 5. ठीक है. चलो next. With reference to the history of India, the term Kullevapa and Dronavapa denote what? अब ये क्वेश्चन हमने कल भी वैसे indirectly किया था. Answer is very easy, that measurement of land. And why land measurement? Because in a drone, in a kind of utensil, you have specific volume or weight of your seeds, and those seeds will be from specific area for sowing. तो वो एरिया के लिए यूज होता था. So that is measurement of land. But next question is going to be more interesting. Let me see how many of you can solve the next question. 157. Arrange the following land measurement units prevailed during Gupta period in the descending order, larger to the shorter. कुल्यवाप, द्रोणवाप एंड आधवाप. अब बताइए इसका आंसर क्या होगा. स्टोरी में मजा आ रहा है. चलो ठीक है, साथ में चलते स्टोरी के साथ साथ, नो प्रॉब्लम. यौधेया यौधेयास, यस, ठीक है. कुल्यवाप, द्रोणवाप, आधवाप. Can anybody try which is the larger, longest one? Which is the larger one? Let me give the answer. Answer is B. Kulyavapa is largest, Dronavapa is medium, Adhavapa is shortest. One Kulyavapa is equal to 8 Dronavapas, and one Dronavapa is equal to 4, इसलिए 32, 8 चौक 32, so 32 Adhavapas. So this is the equation, that 4 Adhavapas make 1 Dronamapa and 8 Dronamapas make 1 Kulyavapa. So this is 1K, 8D, 32 AD. So this is the descending order: Kulyavap, Dronavap, Adhavap. Clear? Let us move on. 158. From the 3rd century AD, when Huna invasion ended Roman Empire, the Indian merchants relied more and more on African trade, Southeast Asian trade, West European trade, Middle Eastern trade. What is the answer? It's a very simple question. 158. I would need some answers from you because nobody is sitting in front of me in the class today because of election duty. सबकी लगी हुई है. तो 158. Answer is B. Correct. Answer is B. Oh no, not B. Sorry. Answer is C. Southeast Asian trade. Okay. Because once Roman Empire is gone, the Western connections are broken. From this point onwards, from Gupta era onwards, you see that you have a much stronger relationship with Southeast Asia. Answer is C. Okay. Then let us go to 159. That's why Adha last. I don't know what does that mean. 159. Which of the following ports handled the North Indian trade during Gupta period? Tamarlipti, Baloch, Kalyan and Cambay. A very simple question. Tamarlipti is over here, Baloch is over here, Cambay and Kalyan are Cambay and Kalyan. तो आप बताइए मुझे. All these 3 ports would have Sahyadri in the back. They don't have hinterland going back to North India. But from Tamarlipti, what you do is you go upstream by river, riverine trade. You know that even Roman Empire के ज़माने में जो किताबें लिखी गई है, like in Periplus and Ptolemy's Biographia, you get to see that the ships which come for trade on the eastern coast, they also go upstream to the river of Ganga and maybe to Pataliputra के पास या आगे कहीं इलाहाबाद तक जाती होंगी. So for serving entire North India, this Tamarlipti was a much more important port. अब ये पोर्ट जो है ताम्रलिप्ति का, it existed since the time of Mauryas. We know that Maurya Emperor Ashoka's beta and beti, that is नाम बताइए आप, Mahinda and Sangamitra, they went outside India to south to Sri Lanka etc. to spread Buddhism via oceanic route, and the port they took their journey from was Tamarlipti. So Tamarlipti was the port that was important port for Eastern India since Mauryan era or perhaps before that, and it continued to remain important till Gupta. But Gupta के खत्म होने के बाद in the early medieval this port got silted और खत्म हो गया. By 8th and 9th century gradually there was emergence of other ports like Samandar etc. और Samatat वगैरह, तो वो shift हो गया trade in Bengal only. But Tamarlipti was a very important port from Maurya till Gupta, post Gupta. ठीक है. Sir, Guptas were using western coast ports. Education for all, they were. You know, western coast पे यहाँ पे कौन था? Shakas थे, and the Shakas were ousted by Guptas, defeated by Guptas. Chakamurunda. That's a very famous story. Why Guptas became very important force in nationalism in 1920s, 1930s, 1940s is because Guptas had ousted the so-called foreigners, that is Shakas. गुप्तों ने शकों को भगा दिया, हम भी भगा देंगे अंग्रेजों को. Guptas liberated and unified entire India. ये तो पूरा narrative था in the freedom struggle. Who were the foreigners? They were the Western Kshatrapas, who were the descendants of Rudradaman. उसके बेटे चाचे मतलब उसके आगे पोते वगैरह थे, उनको ख़त्म करके ही तो Guptas got access to the Western ports. Not only they got access to Western ports, they become extremely rich because huge amount of silver could come. Gupta started silver coinage minting only after the conquest of this Gujarat region, Maharashtra region, by defeating the Western Satrapas. And the silver coin was very much same as Shaka silver coin. और यहाँ पे we have some important उस ज़माने के viharas like Devani Mori. Devani Mori was a very important Buddhist vihar at that time in this region. It had its own sculptural sub-style, and that sculptural style also seemed to have affected and influenced the later Mathura and Sarnath style of sculpture during Gupta. So sculpture, silver, economy, nationalism, trade, from all angle, Gupta's conquest of western part, Gujarat part is very important. Okay, I hope I solved this query. Education for all. आगे चलते हैं. The silver coins issued by Gupta kings were called as Rupaka, Karshapana, Dinara and Pana. Anybody? Answer is very simple. It is Rupaka. E. Rupaka, where was the word? For gold coins, the word was dinar. So dinar were gold coins, Rupaka were silver coins. Okay. Then 161. We have matched the following type question. We have list 1 and list 2. Let me read over here. Vishakhadatta, Varahamihira, Charaka and Brahmagupta. On the other hand, we have medicine, drama, astronomy and mathematics. What is the answer? Vishakhadatta was the author of playwright. It was playwright. So iska to 2 hoga. Charak we know, Charaka Samhita for medicine. Iska to 1 hoga. So even if you are confused between astronomy and mathematics between Varahamihir, Brahmagupta, there is no problem, because even if you can go anyway, you still get the answer, and the answer is going to be A2 and C1, that is C. Answer is C. बदल ही नहीं सकता. ठीक है. तो फिर you get B3 and D4. So B3 and D4. Done. Brahmagupta's book is there on mathematics and also on astronomy. कोई doubt नहीं है. But Brahmagupta's book on mathematics became much more famous after the Arab conquest of Sindh. This book went to Arabia in the court of the Caliphate, in those cities of Abbasid Caliphate, और वहाँ पे it was translated into Arabic also, in the Hind and other things. So he is known as a mathematician primarily in the global context. (162). Consider the following statements regarding political structure during Gupta period. What is the timeline of Sushruta? Akshay is asking. I think it is after Charaka for sure and before Vagbhat. उसके बीच में कहाँ पे है? Is it post-maurya? Is it Gupta? Nobody has any clarity. We don't know for sure. We know about Sushruta from a very secondary manuscripts that were found in Central Asia. उससे आपको dating तो करना possible है नहीं. तो sometime in post-maurya, Gupta, etc. हम बता सकते हैं. इसके आगे तो हम नहीं जा सकते. ठीक है. Okay. Let's come to 162. Consider the following statements regarding political structure during Gupta period. Monarchy was the prevalent form of government during Gupta period. Yes. The Mahadanda Nayakas helped the king in the administration of the state. Correct. Mahadanda Nayakas, एक important बात ये है कि the author of the Prag Prashasti of Samudra Gupta, his name was Hari Sena, and Hari Sena was also a Mahadanda Nayaka. ठीक है. Unless, so he was not only poet but also a great officer at the senior level. Unlike the Mauryan period, the administration in Gupta period was managed through a bottom-up approach. It is also very true. So answer is 1, 2 and 3. All of them are correct. So it should be C. This bottom-up approach kya hai? If you see that in district level and in village level, you see public participation. In district you have adhishthana adhikarana. In that district body you have some government officers and some local representatives of different guilds of traders and craft people and bureaucrats, etc., who collectively form a committee and they collectively decide how to govern the district. And same structure is there in cities and villages. We have panchayat system also at that time. So you see Mauryas in which you have every post till the gramika, till the village officer is appointed by central government. At least technically as far as the Shastra, it is not so in Gupta era. So Mauryan era focuses an ideal type on centralization and Gupta era focuses on public participation. So bottom up approach wahi pe aayega. So all of them C. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the impact of land grant? It strengthened the hold of the state on financial resources. Actually होना उल्टा चाहिए, एक बार लैंड ग्रांट दे दी तो रिसोर्सेज भी आपने दे दिए. It weakened होना चाहिए, not strengthened. So statement 1 is incorrect. It decentralized the production and distribution. Yes, वो तो हो गया decentralization. Led to the rise of powerful intermediaries. The grantees, the donees would emerge to be very powerful people at the middle level, intermediaries. And it challenged the imperialistic tendency. Yes, statement 1 and statement 4 are exactly opposite of each other. They are opposite. And 2 and 4 are together. 3 also is together. ये तीनों चीजें एक ही बात कर रहे हैं. Decentralization, intermediaries and challenging imperialism. मतलब सेंटर वीक हो रहा है and local people, the intermediaries, the centrifugal forces are becoming powerful. And all these three go exactly against its strengthened. तो ये तो गलत है, weakened होना चाहिए. So answer should be 2, 3 and 4. That is C. Very simple question. In our history books only you see that from the Gupta era onwards, the increased tendency of giving land grants led to the emergence of something assumed to be feudalism. Then 164. Which of the following smritis has not given the property rights to women? It is going to be a difficult question for you. अंकित, ये सवाल जो है ना, how Indian feudalism different from European in short? There is no short answer for this question. I am sorry. हम इसको कभी मिलके आराम से लंबी विस्तार से चर्चा करेंगे. ठीक. What is the answer here? याज्ञवल्क्य, नारद, कात्यायन और बृहस्पति. For 164, it is नारद. नारद. आपको मैं एक नुस्खा बता देता हूँ. What you should do is divide the smrutikars of Dharma Shastras into two parts. On one side you have Manu and Narad. And the other side you have Yajnavalkya, Katyayana, Bruhaspati, even Vishnu Smriti. इसमें समझने वाली बात क्या है? वो ये है कि these two belong to post-Mauryan era and these four belong to Gupta and post-Gupta era. Exact years are not known, but this is the general classification. But rather than chronology, I want to focus on something else which is very interesting here, and that is that this Narad and Manu, these two are more orthodox. More orthodox. Generally, they would not give extra rights to women. Relatively speaking, Yajnavalkya, Katyayan, Brihaspati, Vishnu would accommodate relatively more rights of women. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे a widow in this 4, a widow would become the owner of entire property of her husband as per this 4, but यहाँ पे वो चीज़ नहीं होगी. ठीक है, so when you say woman, तो answer is नारद यहाँ. Let us go to the next question. Which of the following is not correctly matched regarding the inscriptions of Gupta period? Mandsaur, Junagadh, Allahabad, Eran, Kumar Gupta, Chandragupta, Samudragupta and Bhanugupta. कौन सा गलत है? वेरी फेमस वन. यहाँ पे यू डोंट नीड टू नो एरन. एरन में कई सारे इंस्क्रिप्शंस है. भानुगुप्त करेक्ट. अलाहाबाद प्रयाग प्रशस्ति, समुद्रगुप्त अगेन करेक्ट. Mandsaur, which is known for the traveling of guild away from Gujarat to Madhya Pradesh because they faced some problems, silk workers, but then they became rich afterwards and built a temple there. That is a Kumar Gupta one, so that is also correct. Junagadh mein you don't have a Chandragupta. What you have instead is Skandagupta. So Junagadh is known for 3 people we discussed yesterday. एक है Ashokan edicts, then Rudradaman, and on the same rock we have Skandagupta era ka edict. So B is incorrect. Junagadh is not Chandragupta first. Which of the following statements is or are correct? Let us go to question 166. Manu was not during Gupta time of education. He was during post-Maurya time. Manu and Yajnavalkya are in post-Mauryan era. That's what I said. Okay. The Bakshali manuscript was written in the Sharda script. यहाँ पे you need to know the two things. Bakshali क्या है और Sharda script क्या है. Sharda script we discussed already that it was used in Jammu and Kashmir, in Sharda University in those centuries as an important language, important script rather, not language, script. A Bakshali manuscript is one of the 2 very important manuscripts found in Central Asia. एक है Bakshali और दूसरा है Bower manuscript. दोनों सेंट्रल एशिया मिले हैं एंड बोथ ऑफ देम हैव स्पेसिफिसिटीज. अब Bower के अंदर क्या मिला है आप ढूंढिए, ये आपका होमवर्क है. बट एनीवे, so this part actually statement 166 is correct. It is in Sharda script because of the influence of Kashmir. Aryabhatta gave a very accurate value for pi, correct up to 4 decimal. तो ये भी करेक्ट है, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है. एंड शारंगधर संहिता is an important text on political system of ancient India. It is incorrect. It is not political. It is Ayurved. आयुर्वेद. आज भी शायद कोई कंपनी वगैरह आती है शारंगधर वगैरह नाम से, आयुर्वेदिक दवाइयाँ बेचती है. Sharangadhar is a text on Ayurveda. He was perhaps some person, some Rishi Muni, and his tradition was there. So this point is incorrect. It is 1 and 2 correct, 2 only 2 are correct. Answer is B. Okay. But I want you to Google and find out the details of Power manuscript and then put in the comment box. देखिए कितने लोग आते हैं. Let us come to next 167. देखो बख्शाली के बारे में ना लोग जानते हैं. It was in limelight couple of years ago also because of the dot. Was बख्शाली manuscript के बीच में dot मिला है and that dot is supposed to represent 0, first known 0. तो पहले ये मानना था that in the 8th century we have a dot for 0 in a Vishnu temple at the foothills of Gwalior Fort, and that was known to be the oldest 0 physically available to the world. इंडिया के पास उसका क्रेडिट था. But in 80s or 90s they found one inscription in some place in Southeast Asia which was having a 0 in a गोल वाला shape जो कि विष्णु टेम्पल से 100-150 साल पुराना था. So although everybody knew 0 is India's invention, the oldest known 0 was for a few decades known to be in Southeast Asia and not in India. अब दोबारा 2 साल पहले कंफर्म ये हुआ है कि द बख्शाली मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट that is actually of Indian text coming originally from India but found in Central Asia, it has a 0 and this manuscript goes back to Gupta era. and it is much older than that temple inscription in Southeast Asia. तो दोबारा the credit of having oldest zero came back to India. तो इसलिए बख्शाली अपने आप में बड़ा famous manuscript था for its content, and because of zero it was again in news a couple of years ago. But that is for बख्शाली. What about Bower? तो Bower के अंदर क्या है ये आपको ढूंढना है, ठीक है. Let us come to next question, 167. The Chinese traveler Fahian, who visited India, recorded general conditions of Gupta times. In this context, consider his observations. Which of the following observations are made by him? There were no restrictions on people's movement and they enjoyed large degree of personal freedom. Yes, he says that. The administration was so efficient that the roads were kept safe for travelers and there was no fear of thieves, although he was himself looted possibly, but he claims that it was very safe. So the question is, what are his claims? To claim to hai. So second is also correct. Administration was stricter than that of Mauryas and restrictions on women were more. He exactly says the opposite. He says administration is very lenient. The criminal code of conduct of Guptas is much more lenient than the Mauryas. तो ये बात exactly उल्टी कही गई है, तो statement 3 is wrong. And Buddhism was flourishing in northwest but declining in Gangetic Valley. It is also correct. He visited some places of Buddha's era, the cities like Vaishali, Shravasti, etc., and says these cities are declining. On the other hand, from Khotan to Peshawar till Mathura, Buddhism was flourishing. So we see the differential picture west में और east में, तो ये सही है. So only statement 3 is incorrect. So answer should be 1, 2 and 4. That is A. Answer is A, 1, 2 and 4. Let's go to next question. This is going to be an interesting question for all of you. अच्छा, बहुतों का आंसर गलत हो गया. बी और सी में बात कर रहे हैं, आंसर तो ए चाहिए, ठीक है. आई होप क्वेश्चन इज क्लियर. 167, नो डाउट. वो तो बता दो बिफोर वी गो अहेड. अच्छा, 168 पे जा रहे हैं. भुक्तिज, विठीज, विषया एंड ग्राम. अरेंज देम इन द ऑर्डर. सबसे बड़ा क्या है, सबसे छोटा क्या है? ग्राम हैज टू बी छोटा, राइट? तो ग्राम इज द स्मॉलेस्ट. तो 4 हैज टू बी इन द एंड. चारों में 4 एंड में है तो वो भी चला गया. अब बचे 3, भुक्ति, विषय एंड विठी. विठी तो सबसे बड़ा जो होता है वो भुक्ति होता है. भुक्ति इज अ प्रोविंस. जैसे कि इन गुप्ता एरा वी हैड पुंड्रवर्धन भुक्ति इन नॉर्थ ऑफ बंगाल. पुंड्रवर्धन भुक्ति. सो भुक्ति इज द बिगेस्ट वन. तो फर्स्ट शुड बी 1. तो दिस इज 1 एंड दिस इज 1. देन यू कम टू विठी एंड विषय. तो विषय इज एट नेक्स्ट लेवल. विषय इज लाइक अ डिस्ट्रिक्ट, ठीक है. So 3 should be coming first. So you come to this part 3 and then you have Vithi. Vithi is actually a town or a marketplace. Vithi से बाद में आया है पेट. In Western India, in my region Maharashtra also we have पेट. पेट मतलब बाजार होता है, मार्केट होता है, बड़ा सा टाउन एक होता है. तो वो ग्राम के ऊपर आता है, उसके ऊपर डिस्ट्रिक्ट एंड उसके ऊपर आएगा प्रोविंस. So we have भुक्ति, विषय, Vithi and Gram. So this is the answer. Answer is A. Let us come to question number 169. With reference to the scholars, literators of ancient India, consider the following statements. Panini is associated with Pushyamitra Shunga. Is it correct? No. Patanjali is associated with Shunga era. Panini was actually pre-Mauryan and Patanjali is post-mauryan. Panini perhaps came from 5th century BCE. Panini पहला इंसान है जो वर्ड यूज करता है लिपि. लिपि. So we know that in the Vedic era there was no script. It was only composition, compilation, completely oral. The art, the skill, the science of writing was not developed. But somewhere in later Vedic era, gradually people got settled, cities were formed, state was created. All this requires script. So script also came, Brahmi script. So oldest evidence of the script existing in India today is possibly Ashokan edicts. अशोक के पहले वाले स्क्रिप्ट लगभग ना के बराबर है. इन साउथ वी हैव समवेयर प्री अशोकन ब्राह्मी ऑन सम पॉटशर्ट्स एटसेट्रा, अनुराधापुर, कोडमानल वगैरह वगैरह, बट वो बहुत रेयर एग्जांपल्स है. बट वी नो प्री अशोकन ब्राह्मी है, बट इट गोज बाई कितने साल पहले जाती है नहीं पता हम. बट उससे भी 200 साल पहले इन द 5th century BC जो किताब लिखी गई थी पाणिनि के द्वारा, इन दैट बुक ही हैज यूज्ड द वर्ड लिपि which shows that there is an idea of script. Lipi means script. So Panini is actually in the 5th century BC, so it is incorrect. It was Patanjali who was in the court of Shunga. Then Amar Simha is associated with Harshavardhan. It is wrong. He was one of the Navaratnas of Gupta. ये भी wrong है. And Kalidas is associated with Chandragupta II. This is correct. The answer is only 3. Very simple. Who are the नवरत्नाज ऑफ गुप्ता? आपको नाम याद है? देख लो. Yes, Jejuka Bhukti नाम, Jejuka Bhukti word comes from later era, but yes, it is coming from Bhukti. You are right, Venkatesh. Next question, Mruchakatika. Mruchakatika, an ancient Indian book written by Shudraka, deals with what? What is the content of Mruchakatika? It's very simple. We know that we have Vasavadatta, famous story of Charudatta and other things. So its answer is A, love affair between rich merchant and daughter of a courtesan. ये बड़ी फेमस कहानी है, उज्जैन शहर में होती है. आप कभी पढ़ लेना, मूवी में देख लेना. In case of Bharat Ek Khoj, the episode on Gupta Empire also shows the story of Vasanta Sena and Charudatta. So आप देख लें, it's a very famous story. Answer is A, love affair between rich merchant and daughter of courtesan. But यहाँ पे I would like to point out one important thing, that this Charudatta, who is a rich merchant, is actually a merchant, a trader, but belongs to Brahman Varna. वो ब्राह्मण है. अब there are many twists and turns in the story. He likes one courtesan, उसके साथ प्यार होता है, सब कुछ होता है, बड़ी कहानी आगे होती है. एक एंड में ऐसी सिचुएशन आती है कि लगता है कि ये वसंत सेना मर गई है, शी इज़ डेड. एंड उसका इल्ज़ाम जो आता है चारुदत्त पे, क्योंकि एक कोई बड़ा सा पावरफुल आदमी है. ही इज़ वेरी जेलस, ही वांट्स टू हैव दैट गर्ल, सो ही पुट्स द ब्लेम ऑन द हीरो दैट यू किल दैट गर्ल. अब पूरा चलता है मुकदमा. The entire court case goes on. In the court case, ultimately Charudatta, our hero, who was rich at one point of time but became poor in the story, he is found guilty and he is pronounced कि इसको सजाए मौत मिलेगी. He would be given death sentence. He will be executed. But before the sentence is carried out, Vasanta Sena is found to be not dead but alive. वापस आती है तो उसकी सजा कैंसिल होती है. So it ends on a good note. But the point here is that it's a story for entertainment. Still it tells us the social system at that era ki although Charudatta was Brahman, he was a trader and not doing Vedic yagya or anything else. So there is some kind of occupational mobility despite him being of specific varna. That is one thing. And secondly, although he is Brahman, he is pronounced guilty and he was given the death sentence. Execute nahi hua, but death sentence diya tha. As per the norms of Manu or Yajnavalkya etc., a Brahman was not allowed to be given death sentence. उसको दे दिया उसी ज़माने की किताब में. A very famous drama of that era. तो ये बात है कि what is the picture of society as emerging in the normative books and what is the picture of society as emerging in other types of books. इसमें आपस में भेद है, the difference in the two. They don't always agree with each other. So answer here is A. Let us go to question 171. इतनी स्टोरी काफ़ी है पीयूष. हाँ, so we have literary work and the author. Bhuta Ghatotkacha, Mruchakatikam, Kiratarjuniyam and Ravanavada. Now telling all these stories will be too much. Let us not go into every story individually. But anyway, what would be the answer here? Muchakatikam is by anybody? Rudraka, correct. Rudraka. Then anything else? Kiratarjuniya is a very famous long poem by Bharavi. Bharavi was in the Pallava court. In Pallava court, we have two important Sanskrit authors, एक है Bharavi and एक है Dandin. They are not contemporary of each other. They are in different centuries, but both of them in South India, in the court of Pallava, city of Kanchipuram. But anyway, so B becomes 3 and C becomes 4. So 3 and 4, matlab this and this. Now we have A and C. Between A and C, what is the answer? What is Duta Ghatotkacha? Ghatotkacha was the son of Bhima and Hidimba from Mahabharata. Bhasa is known for plays on Mahabharata and Ramayana, and it is his composition. And Ravanavadha is by Bhakti. Ravanavadha is actually also known as Bhakti Kavya. Bhakti Kavya. It's a very famous book, Bhakti Kavya. Okay, perhaps from 7th or 8th century in the post-Gupta era. So the answer should be D. 2341. Let us go to 171. देखो आज से 10 साल पहले 10 years ago क्या क्या सवाल पूछे जाते थे यूपीएससी में, इतने आसान सवाल. द नागर, द्राविड एंड वेसर आर व्हाट. आज के दिन में ऐसे सवाल यूपीएससी अगर पूछेगी तो इट विल बी कंसिडर्ड अ वेरी लॉलीपॉप काइंड ऑफ सवाल, ब्राउनी पॉइंट्स. और कभी कभी पूछती है, आज भी पूछती है. नॉट 100 क्वेश्चंस आर डिफिकल्ट, अंडरस्टैंड दैट. देयर आर ऑलवेज इनफ इजी क्वेश्चंस विच वी शुड पिक अप, and there are always enough difficult questions we should know what to attempt, what not to attempt. That bearing becomes possible when you solve more and more tests. But anyway, come back here. What is the answer here? आप बताइए इसका आंसर मैं क्या ही बताऊं. आंसर इज सी, द मेन स्टाइल्स ऑफ इंडियन टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर. 173 नागरा स्टाइल टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर इज एसोसिएटेड विथ. तो उसके पहले इन 1986 ये भी पूछा है यूपीएससी ने. नॉर्थ इंडिया, सिंपल आंसर इज ए, नॉर्थ इंडिया. With reference to the cultural history of India, the term Panchayatan refers to also a very simple question. What is Panchayatan? It's a type of a temple construction. Why Panchayatan? Because Pancha Ayatana. If you look from the top, you have the main shrine, the main Garbhagruha of the main deity, and then surrounding which you have a platform, and you have 4 more small shrines, secondary shrines for also other gods. So on one hand, these gods are brought into temple, they are given respect. But on the other hand, you have also established some hierarchy that this is the main god and they are little bit subsidiary gods, but they are gods, उनकी भी पूजा होगी, उनको भी नमस्कार किया जाएगा, but main shrine किसी और god की है. So you establish, you integrate and also hierarchize at the same time. So it is a temple construction of 1 plus 4, 5 gods. Panchayatan. ठीक है. Let us go to 175. Where is the famous Gupta period Devghat temple situated? 175. Anybody? Yes, it is UP. Correct. Devghat is in UP. Simple. Which of the following Gupta temples is built with bricks? This is going to be an interesting question. There are only 2 important Gupta temples which are built in bricks. Most of all other temples are built in stone. But 2 है जो ईंटों में बनाए गए, बड़े फेमस है, एंड वो दोनों नाम यहाँ पे मेंशन्ड है. वन इज टेम्पल ऑफ भीतरगांव. Bhitargaon, it's near Kanpur. And second is temple of Lakshman at Sirpur, it's in Chhattisgarh. So these 2 are the temples, so answer is 2 and 3. All other Bhumra Koha temple, Nashna Kuthara, Dasavatar, etc., all of them in stone, but 2 जो है वो bricks में है, अभी भी survive होते. If you go Bhitargaon में आप देखोगे तो भीतरगांव टेम्पल के एंट्री पे छोटा टेम्पल है, थोड़ा सा हाइट है उसका, यू सी एन आर्च, यू सी द गुप्ता ऑल्सो यूज, इट मे नॉट बी ट्रू आर्च, इट्स ओके, आई डोंट नो इस तरह आर्च है, बट देयर इज एन आर्च शेप दैट इज यूज्ड इन अ वेरी नाइस वे इन भीतरगांव. एंड अबाउट लक्ष्मण टेम्पल एट सिरपुर, व्हाट शुड आई से, सिरपुर अपने आप में बड़ा शहर पूरा का पूरा मिला हुआ है, हंड्रेड्स ऑफ artifacts, murtis and stupas and sculptures and temples are there from 6th and 7th. Even Yuan Sang had visited Sirpur. At that time it was a thriving central city in India. But अचानक से गायब हो गया. क्यों गायब हुआ? We have no idea. Who are the kings? We have no idea. Who are the people? We have no idea. हिंदुस्तान के बीचों बीच बहुत बड़ा शहर, बहुत बड़ा market which thrived for hundreds of years, about which even Yuan Sang has written. He says कि यहाँ के कुछ स्तूप है, दिस स्तूप लोकल पीपल कहते हैं दिस स्तूप गो बैक टू अशोकन एरा. तो लोकल लोगों की उस समय मान्यता थी कि दे अशोकन स्तूपास, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट वी डोंट हैव एनी लिटरेचर ऑफ द पीपल ऑफ दैट, वी हैव ओनली हैंडफुल ऑफ इंस्क्रिप्शंस, फ्रॉम दैट वी कैन नॉट कंस्ट्रक्ट द स्टोरी, वी डोंट नो व्हाट हैपन इन द हार्ट ऑफ इंडिया. क्या करें? बट एनीवे वी हैव गुप्ता एरा टेम्पल देयर. आंसर इज 2 and 3. क्वेश्चन 177. This is a very simple question. Types of marriages, we know that in the Shastric literature, there are 8 types of marriages are given. 8 types. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All these 8 types, they divide into 4 and 4. The first 4 are called as dharmya. Dharmya mane they are allowed. And the next 4 are called as adharmya. They are not preferred, not allowed. Secondly, first one is the best one, the most preferred one. Second one is little less preferred, but still dharmya, that is allowed. Likewise, you go on descending order, 5, 6, 7, 8 are not allowed, but even within that, 5 is less abominable, 8 is worst kind of marriage. So you have a hierarchy also. So the question here is asking Brahma, Daiva, Arsha and Prajapatya, they are 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are the 4 types of marriages. Then we have Gandharva, Asura, Rakshasa and Paishacha. So Gandharva, Asura, Rakshasa and Paishacha, they are worst kind of marriages. Gandharva is love marriage, you just run away with your girlfriend and get married without permission of the parents. So not allowed, but still people would do that. So यहाँ पे I won't go into the details, but all 4 are correct. So answer is D. ठीक है, let us not study these stories right now. The painting of Bodhisattva Padmapani, one of the most famous and oft illustrated paintings at, a very simple question, that is Ajanta. Correct, very correct. Let's come to 179. Consider the following historical places: Ajanta, Lepakshi and Sanchi. Which of the above places are known for mural paintings? Now tell me, Ajanta comes from which era? It comes from which era? It comes from Satavahan era first and then Vakataka era, that is Gupta era. Lepakshi temple from Vijayanagar. It's near Hindapur, not in Karnataka but in Andhra. And we have lots of paintings there on the walls which are very beautiful. Not only they are beautiful, they also show the governors there who actually had it painted. It was not commissioned by king directly, but by the Nayakas of Vijayanagar era. Nayakon ne banaya tha. And on these paintings you see the women folk are wearing sarees, and those sarees come with the traditional design patterns, the textile design. And that design gives us an idea कि आज से 400 साल पहले कपड़ों के डिज़ाइन क्या होते थे. It's a documentation of the sartorial tradition of India. So much so that there is near Lepakshi a place called Dharmapuram. वहाँ की सिल्क साड़ियाँ आज भी फेमस है, and on those silk sarees they claim that they कैरी फॉरवर्ड द लेपाक्षी ट्रेडिशन. तो वहाँ के जो पैटर्न होते हैं, लेपाक्षी पेंटिंग के पैटर्न होते हैं. धर्मपुरी सिल्क ऑल्सो हैज गॉट GI टैग. लेपाक्षी इज ऑल्सो नोन फॉर ले पक्षी. तो रामायण की कहानी जटायु वाली जो है, कहते हैं यहीं पे हुई थी जटायु वाली कहानी, ले पक्षी. So anyway, point है कि although it's come from Vijayanagar Empire, Vijayanagar era in medieval, it also has murals. Sanchi Stupa doesn't seem to have any mural. अगर इसमें होते होते तो आज तो कुछ बचे है नहीं. We know that the under of Sanchi Stupa was perhaps painted, but we just get a very rare idea with some red color, but we don't consider it as a painting anymore. So answer is 1 and 2, that is B. ठीक है. Let us go to question 180. There are only two known examples of paintings of Gupta period in ancient India. One is in Ajanta, which is the other one? Anybody? It's a very simple question. Which is the other one? बताइए, जल्दी जल्दी बताइए. करेक्ट, करेक्ट, करेक्ट. इट इज बाघ. अब इसके बारे में लेट मी टेल यू सम थिंग्स वेरी क्विकली. Here you have Ajanta and here you have Bagh. Bagh is in Madhya Pradesh. Ajanta is in Maharashtra. Both of them are contemporary, but understand the difference. There are 2-3 major interesting points. First thing, Ajanta was in Vakataka domain. Bagh was in Gupta domain. They are contemporary. Ajanta region was ruled by Vakatakas. That is one. Secondly, Ajanta is known for paintings, sculpture and architecture, all three of them. Bagh is known only for paintings. Bagh में गुफाएं है, Bagh caves are there, Ranga Mahal hai and many other caves. They have not survived well, and whatever survived is not very exclusive or unique or distinct. Normal caves. So Bagh cave architecture is not unique. What is unique in Bagh is paintings. Bagh is known for painting. Ajanta is known for painting, sculpture, architecture, all of them. तीसरी बात, we know that there is a historian called Walter Spink. He dedicated his entire life to study Ajanta paintings, and he passed away a few years ago now. Very senior person. उनका रिसर्च ये कहता है कि अजंता पेंटिंग्स स्टार्टेड फर्स्ट इन द वाकाटका एरा, एंड फॉर सम रीज़न देयर वाज अ गैप. पैसे रुक गए, फंडिंग रुक गया, युद्ध हो गया, पता नहीं क्या हुआ, बट अजंता पेंटर्स लॉस्ट द गिग, लॉस्ट द जॉब, लॉस्ट द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. बट उनको तो वो गिल्ड था, वो गिल्ड अपना पेंटिंग का काम करता रहेगा, यहाँ नहीं तो कहीं और. सो द पीपल माइग्रेटेड, the painters migrated and they came to Madhya Pradesh, and they are the ones who were engaged locally there for Bagh painting. Once Bagh was over, by that point of time, the funding in Ajanta for some reason was restored. So the same painters came back to Ajanta and finished Ajanta painting. उससे क्या पता चलता है? Not only that Ajanta paintings and Bagh paintings were contemporary, but they were also done by the same people, same painters. फिर भी उसमें फ़र्क है. स्टाइल इज लिटिल डिफरेंट, नॉट स्टाइल बट द थीम इज लिटिल डिफरेंट. इन द बाघ पेंटिंग्स यू सी दैट देयर इज फोक एलिमेंट विच इज मच मोर विजिबल, ट्राइबल एलिमेंट, फोक डांस, कॉमन पीपल, एंड दैट अर्दी एक्सपीरियंस इज मच मोर विजिबल इन बाघ. अजंता इज वेरी सबलाइम, वेरी ब्यूटीफुल एंड एक्सक्विजिट. वो फ़र्क भी है उनके थीम्स में. बट एनीवे, कम बैक. सो दिस पार्ट इज डन. 180 इज डन. बाप रे, 8 बज गए हैं. हम तो बड़ा धीरे चल रहे हैं आज, थोड़ा सा स्पीड बढ़ाते हैं. आई नीड टू फिनिश द डॉक्यूमेंट एज फार एज पॉसिबल. लेट अस सी हाउ इट गोज. पोस्ट गुप्ता एरा, फ्रॉम द डिक्लाइन of Guptas until the rise of Harshavardhana in the early 7th century, which of the following kingdoms were holding power in North India? Guptas of Magadha, Paramarad of Malwa, Pushyabhuti of Thanesar, Maukhari of Kannauj, Jadava of Devgiri and Maitraka of Vallabhi. क्या होगा? Very simple, go in the other way around. We know that Paramarads of Malwa and Yadavas of Devgiri emerged in early medieval. इसमें मैं थोड़ा सा आपको बता दूँ एक, timeline, it will be helpful. That from 550, 600 till 1200 CE, we have this huge span from end of Gupta till the beginning of Delhi Sultanate. And this timeline here is always एक दो सवाल तो हर साल आते हैं यहाँ से, something to do with timeline, and generally there are lots of crowding here. We tend to not understand proper sequence and chronology. So the simpler way of understanding it is to divide into three parts, three almost equal parts. कैसे? So in the first part here in North India we have Harsha. Gupta collapse होने के बाद there is some gap, but then we have Harsha in north. In Deccan at that time we have early Chalukyas, Pulakeshin, etc. And in south we have Pallavas. So Pallavas emerge quite earlier by the end of 3rd century, etc. But by this time they again get revived. So they are contemporary. Once this era is gone, you have here the Arab invasion. Here you had the Huna invasion, because of which there was decline of Guptas. Then you have Arabic invasion of Sindh. Sindh is gone. This is the time when you see there is emergence of Rajput dynasties. But we have three major empires emerging in Deccan and north and east. We have Palas, we have Rashtrakutas. I should actually bring them little down. Even here we have Gurjar Pratiharas. We have that famous tripartite struggle for Kannauj. But in south, Pallavas are replaced by Cholas. So they are almost contemporary. ये कब शुरू होता है? Around यहाँ पे शुरू होता है. Around the 9th century onwards. Then what you have here is the end of this struggle. जब ये struggle for Kannauj खत्म होता है तो पाला, गुर्जर प्रतिहार and राष्ट्रकूट almost simultaneously खत्म हो जाते हैं. That is the time we have the invasion of Mahmud of Ghazni. It is a time when we have arrival of Al-Biruni to India. Cholas, however, continue to exist. So Chol जो है, they continue from here till here. So Chol यहाँ भी है and Chol continue over here as well. But in north they are now replaced. What do you have here? You have various Rajput, 36 Rajput dynasties. In Deccan you have Kadambas, you have Gangas, you have later Chalukyas, all of them. I will not write all the names here, but we have these various differentiated small fragmented dynasties. And then at the end here you have the invasion of Ghori, and then establishment of Delhi Sultanate. So my first point is that whenever you study this post-Gupta and early medieval, you should understand that there are compartments of 200 years each. इसके ये 200 साल, ये 200 साल, ये 200 साल. So Harsh cannot live for 200 years. So Harsh के पहले और बाद में you would have some dynasties over here and over here. तो सवाल यहाँ से कई बार आता है. That is one thing. Secondly, Pallavas and early Chalukyas don't last long. They are replaced by Rashtrakutas and Cholas, who are replaced by later Chalukyas, by Gangas, by Kadambas, also later on by Yadava, Hoysala and Kakatiyas. So when you have Delhi Sultanate over here, you have Yadava, Hoysala, Kakatiya emerging over here at the same time. And then we have these Rajput dynasties and उनके capitals and उनके founders etc. वो एक आता है. But by and large, this is the gap of 200 years each, collectively about 600 years to be studied into 3 different compartments. Throughout the time we have Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, etc., Bhakti movement going on, Alvar, Nayanar, and the temple build construction, all those things. There is transition from Sanskrit Prakrit into today's dialects of various regions and languages and vernaculars. ये सब इसी पैमाने में हो रहा है. So you should study this era into it's a larger framework for us to understand. It would not contain all the facts, but it will help you put into bits and parts and then comprehend newer and newer facts. I hope this is helpful. चलो फिर let us come back. Question क्या था? About until the rise of Harsha. So this question is regarding ये वाला part. So answer is 1, 3, 4 and 6. That is answer is B. These Guptas of Magadha, or sometimes called as later Guptas. ठीक है. They are different Guptas. Let us come to question 182. The Chinese traveler Yuan Sang, who visited India, recorded the general conditions and culture of India at that time. In this context, which of the following statements is or are correct? The roads and rivulets, river roads were completely immune to robbery. Obviously, it is not immune. He was himself robbed at least twice. ये तो गलत है. As regards punishment for offences, ordeals by fire, water and poison were the instruments of determining innocence or guilt of a person. बिल्कुल सही है. अग्नि परीक्षा की तरह परीक्षा होती थी, कॉल लिया जाता था. And the tradesmen had to pay duties at ferries and barrier stations. Correct, ये भी सही है. Answer is 2 and 3. B. Answer is B. A very simple question. Consider the following statements. The Chinese pilgrim Fahian attended the 4th Great Buddhist Council held by Kanishka. It is wrong. Fahian came at the time of Guptas, Chandragupta II. And Chinese pilgrim Yuan Sang met Harsha and found him to be antagonistic to Buddhism. Not at all. Harsha was originally a Shaiva. He not only was Shaiva, he also worshipped Surya, but he also was very liberal and patronized Mahayana Buddhism. So he was not antagonistic to Buddhism at all. So it is neither 1 nor 2. Answer is D. Let us go to next question, 184. Emperor Harsha's southward march was stopped on the bank of Narmada by which river? Very simple. One of the most famous early Chalukyan kings, Pulakeshin II. We have information about this from where? From Aihole Prashasti, which is where? On the wall of Neguti Jain temple. And this inscription is in Sanskrit but in Kannada script. So script is early Kannada script, but the language is Sanskrit, and it's a very long poem, multiple pages in today's language, multiple A4 sheets. And there comes a very beautiful line, Bhayavita Vigalu Harsha Yina Chakari Harsha. हर्ष को हमने ऐसे हरा दिया कि वो भय के मारे हर्ष का हर्ष चला गया. So it's a Shabda Shlesha Alankar. There is a pun there. That is one thing. But apart from mentioning the defeat of Harsha, which is very conveniently forgotten by Harsha's Darbari people like Yuan Sang and Banabhatta, who don't mention it, it is mentioned here. Apart from this battle on the banks of Narmada somewhere, this inscription is also known for a couple of other things. वो क्या है? वैसे पहली बात ये है. So first is defeat of Harsha, the battle between the two. The second is the date of Mahabharat. This inscription says that हम ये लिख रहे हैं इतने सालों के बाद, since the battle of Mahabharat. So years are mentioned. You can calculate backwards. You come to know that 3000 something BCE में these people believed that Mahabharat had happened. So traditional dating of Mahabharat is possible from this traditional dating. And third thing is that the author of this inscription is Ravi Kirti, and he is very proud. He says, मैंने ऐसी प्रशंसा लिखी है मेरे राजा की कि मेरे जैसा और कोई है ही नहीं. My writing is so beautiful, so madhurata purna, that I am now very close to Kalidas and Bharavi themselves. So now he has compared himself to Kalidas and Bharavi. It clearly indicates that Kalidas was before his time. Because we don't have the exact date of Kalidas, it becomes easier to seal the date ki bhai jab bhi hoga 5th century, 4th century, 6th century, we don't know, but he had to be much before this inscription, which is now perfectly dated to Harsha's era. So dating of Kalidas, dating of traditional dating of Mahabharat, and Harsh ka defeat, in for all these three reasons, this Aihol in Prashasti at Miguti Jain temple is very important. Okay. Let's go to next thing. The Badami rock inscription of Pulakeshin first is dated to Shaka year 465. If the same were to be dated in Vikrama Samvat, the year would be. ये आप जरा कोशिश करो. This is a good question. Shaka and Vikrama. Vikram Samvat starts when and Shaka Samvat starts when. Vikram Samvat starts, I will give the dates also if you want, in 57 BCE. Is Vikram Samvat starting year, 0 year, and in case of Shaka it is 78 CE. Now you calculate ki by Shaka 465 will be what in Vikram era? Correct, 601, perfect. So let me explain फिर भी very quickly. That you have this timeline. This is 0 today, and then the Vikrama starts in 57 BCE. So 57 is the beginning of Vikram Samvat. Shaka starts in 78 CE. It is the starting of Shaka Samvat, and the year given over here is 465 Shaka year. So 465 यहाँ से आगे. So 465 Shaka. It means 465 plus 78 plus 57. Answer comes to be 601. A. So answer is A. Correct. With reference to the Harsha's empire, consider the following statements. Harsha's administration had become more feudal and decentralized than Gupta empire. Yes, it is true. One is correct. And the second statement, Harsha is credited with paying off cash to his officers. Nahi bhai, it is becoming feudal. Then how will we pay cash? Cash to kam ho jayegi, land grant zyada milenge. So second is incorrect. So answer is 1 only. Very simple. A, 1 only. Let us go to the next question. Which of the following statements about King Harshavardhana are correct? He belonged to the Maukhari dynasty. Yes. He was defeated by Pulakeshin II. Yes or no? बताइए. Which dynasty belonged to? Vardhana or Maukhari? बताइए. You know the politics of that. In Banabhatta's book of Harshacharita, he has given details of how the politics happened between the Thane Sir and Kannauj. So Harsha ka bada bhai got married into the family of Maukharis, and then he had to come there, and then later on he captured the Maukhari seat. Originally he did not belong there, so A is in a way incorrect. The second thing, he was defeated by Pulakeshin II. It is very, we have just seen that B is correct. So B is correct. Then Bana, Mayura and Matanga Divakara were famous writers at his court. Yes, they were there. It is correct. And Harsha himself wrote the 3 plays, Ratnavali, Priyadarshika and Nagamanjiri. का नाम शायद नागामंजिरी नहीं, कुछ और नाम है. I don't recall right now, but it is very close to this, so you can say this to be correct. So I would take this to be correct. लोकल नाम कई बार बदल हो जाते हैं, बट यहाँ पे नो एक डिबेट है, बहुत बड़ा डिबेट है. If you see later commentators of drama in Sanskrit in the medieval times, they have disputed this fact that हर्षा ने कुछ लिखा भी था. They claim कि there was other writer called Dhavaka. Dhavaka is supposed to be the original author of these 3 dramas. And एक परंपरा ऐसे थी कि भाई somebody will write, if it is very good he would take the money and the name would be of the king. तो राजा खरीद लेगा. So some later Sanskrit authors comment that the original author of this Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, etc. is not Harsha but a person called Dhavaka. But in tradition we still go by Harsha. So if UPSC gives the fact Harsha was the author, we will say thumbs up, yes, Harsha was the author. So B, C and D. Okay. Let us go to the next question, 188. Consider the following statements pertaining Yuan Sang's account of Harsha's kingdom. Pataliputra and Vaishali were in state of decline, while Prayag and Kannauj in Doab became important center. Well, it is not true. It is true. It is true because he talks about how Pataliputra is no more there. वो बोलता है भूत की हवेली पड़ी है यहाँ पे, अशोक का जो महल था एक जमाने का. And Vaishali was a great Buddhist city. It is now very much in dilapidated condition. This statement is correct. The Shudras were generally agriculturalists and they could pursue agriculture independently. It is also correct. Which of the above statements are incorrect? Incorrect. So both of them correct. So neither one nor two. Answer is D. Both of them are not correct. It's Nagananda, right? Nagananda. Correct. Then let us go to 189. Let me also tell you one thing about of these 3 plays, Ratnavali, Priyadarshika and Nagananda. It is Nagananda the only play which is explicitly promoting Buddhism, not the other plays. But anyway, come to 189. Yuan Sang visited Kashmir during the reign of which of the following Karkota rulers? इसमें से कौन सा राजा था जिस समय he visited? ये क्वेश्चन शायद आपको नहीं पता होगा. लेट मी गिव द आंसर. हिज नेम इज दुर्लभवर्धन. दुर्लभवर्धन. He was actually the founder of the Karkota dynasty and it is in his reign that Yuan Sang visited Kashmir. Durlabhavardhan. Suya. Sometimes the spelling is S-U-Y-Y-A also. In some books you will see S-U-Y-Y. Suya, the famous engineer who built a dam on the river Jhelum for irrigation, was adoring the court of which of the following rulers? Anybody? What is the answer? Yes, correct answer is B. Avantivarman. Avantivarman belonged to which dynasty? Did he belong to Karkota dynasty? Answer is no. He belonged to Utpal dynasty. Utpala dynasty. Rather, he was the founder of Utpal dynasty, I think around end 850s. So, Utpala dynasty was established by Avantivarman around end 50s when it by replacing the earlier Karkota dynasty. Okay. Anyway, let us go to the next question. Which of the following pairs of inscriptions related to Chalukya rulers is or are correctly matched? I hold Badami, Mahakuta, Pulkeshin second, Pulkeshin first and Kirtivarman. I think इसमें से पहला वाला तो हम देख चुके ऑलरेडी, इट इज करेक्ट. सेकंड वाला भी रेफरेंस ऊपर आ चुका है, ऑल्सो करेक्ट. तीसरा वाला आपको नहीं पता होगा. लेट मी टेल यू, महाकुटा इज अ प्लेस ऑफ a clutch of temples. You have a temple complex, many temples there in a place called Mahakuta in Karnataka. It's a very important Chalukyan architectural temple complex. One thing, there also you have inscription. अब वहाँ पे जो एक इंस्क्रिप्शन है वो प्रशस्ति है महाकुटा इंस्क्रिप्शन. इट इज बाय दिस पर्सन कीर्तिवर्मन, ये सही है. बट व्हाट इज द स्टोरी, व्हाट इज द कॉन्टेक्स्ट? पुलकेशिन वन had two sons. Let us say P1. P1 had two sons. कीर्तिवर्मन वन एंड मंगलेशा, दोनों भाई थे. तो कीर्तिवर्मन वन became the next king after Pulakeshin बड़े भैया, and his boastful story of conquest of entire Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh and Odisha and Bihar and everything is given in detail in this Mahakuta inscription. Not all of this may be actually true. कुछ कुछ बढ़ाई है, कुछ कुछ फेंका हुआ है, कुछ कुछ सही भी है. So historians differ on the details, which is correct, which is boastful, but this is important प्रशस्ति of कीर्तिवर्मन फर्स्ट. हुआ यूं कि ये राजा मर गया. इसका बेटा जो था वो था पुलकेशिन द सेकेंड, P2, but he was very young when his father died, so his uncle Mangalesha got the throne. वही बात है चाचा भतीजा. Mangalesha was also a very powerful king. He rather subdued everybody, established a very strong power. जब वो बूढ़ा हो गया तब पुलकेशिन टू और चाचा में लड़ाई हो गई, and then Pulakeshin II captured everything. तो सिंपल कहानी है. तो it is कीर्तिवर्मन फर्स्ट, महाकुटा inscription, that is correct. So यहाँ पे 1, 2, 3 all of them are correct. So it is C. ठीक है. Let us go to 192. Yuan-sang visited the kingdom of which of the following rulers? हर्षवर्धन, पुलकेशिन द सेकंड, ललितादित्य एंड महेंद्रवर्मन फर्स्ट. अब ये क्वेश्चन टेक्निकली आपको इतना मुश्किल नहीं जाना चाहिए बिकॉज ऑफ कपल ऑफ थिंग्स. फर्स्टली हर्षवर्धन इज ऑब्वियसली देयर. नाउ हर्षवर्धन वाज कंटेम्पररी ऑफ पुलकेशिन, सो ही वाज आल्सो कंटेम्पररी. ये क्वेश्चन इन अ वे ऐसा क्वेश्चन है, हु इज अमंग द फॉलोइंग आर कंटेम्पररी ऑफ ईच अदर. तो इसमें ये दोनों कंटेम्पररी है एंड ही वेंट देयर. इन केस ऑफ Mahendravarman first, who was a Pallava king, although he is kind of contemporary, by the time Yuan-sang went to Pallava domain, he was dead and he was replaced by his own son Nandivardhan. So he was dead in 1630 and then Nandivardhan had come to the power. So we have not Nandivardhan, sorry, his name was Nandivardhan, came much later, he was imported king. He was, I think, Narsinghavarman. Narsinghavarman, not Narsinghavarman. So he is the answer. He was dead by that time. And in Kashmir, we know that it was not Lalitaditya, it was Durlabhavardhan. So this is also incorrect. So answer is 1 and 3. That is A. Very simple. In a way, very simple. Let us go next. If you know the stories, it becomes easy. If you don't know stories, it becomes difficult. Early medieval, question 193. Consider following pairs. You have the king and the dynasty, Nanuka, Jayashakti, Nagabhatta and Bhoj. Now this question is old school question, I would say. The kings, generally we don't study these kings in detail, but now we have to start studying some stories of some important dynasties. तभी ये सवाल हो पाएंगे. So Nanuka is known to be the founder of Chandelas. Chandelas at Jejuka Bhakti, who later on formed these Khajuraho temples. So that is correct. Then Jayashakti was also in his later generations also a Chandel ruler. So ये है. Nagabhatta. Nagabhatta is a very famous king belonging to Gurjar Pratihar. His Gwalior inscription is extremely well known, where he talks about his Kirti, Diganta Kirti. He talks about his conquest across North India and also saving the earth. So Nagabhatta is Gurjar Pratihar. And Bhoj is actually परमार. अगर उन्होंने दिया होता मिहिर भोज is a very famous Gurjar Pratihar king and Bhoj is Parmar king, but none of these two is Rashtrakuta king. So this is also incorrect. So answer would be only 1 and 3. So it is only 2 pairs. Okay. Let us go to the next question. Question number 194. Which of the following phrases defines the nature of hundi generally referred to in the sources of the post-Harsha period? A very simple question. 194. ट्राई इट आउट। तब तक हम थोड़ा पानी पी लेते हैं। यस, करेक्ट, वेंकटेश इज करेक्ट। एनीबडी एल्स? Hundis have been very important bills of exchange in both early medieval से लेके medieval तक. So much so that in the Sultanate era, in the Mughal era, in the Maratha era, in Vijayanagar era, hundis are regularly used, and these bills of exchange have multiple subtypes. 4-5 किस्म की अलग अलग हुंडियाँ होती थी, and these hundis actually acted as a very important tool for transaction in business. आज के दिन में after the formation of this modern banking system, hundi system has come in disrepute because these people are able to manage the finances and transaction outside banking system, and mostly these channels are used by hawala people. तो हवाला एंड हुंडी एक्चुअली आज के दिन में हम उनको ख़राब मानते हैं, बट हिस्टोरिकली दीज आर द चैनल्स दैट हेल्प इंडिया राइज. जब मॉडर्न बैंकिंग सिस्टम नहीं थी तब की बात है. आंसर इज सी, हुंडी बिल्स ऑफ एक्सचेंज. दैट इज वेरी करेक्ट. Let us go to next 195. Consider the following events in the history of India. The rise of Pratiharas under King Bhoja. This question is going to be difficult if you don't know the story, but let us try. Rise of Pratiharas under the King Bhoja. Establishment of Pallava power under Mahendra Varman. Establishment of Chola power by Parantakavan, and Pala dynasty founded by Gopal. Let us try to go with logic and identify the answer. Then I will tell you factual answer also. एक लॉजिक तो ये है that Pallavas came before Cholas. Look at here. In our map over here, we know that Pallavas came before Cholas. In that sense, 2 should come before 3. तो 3 पहले आया है, 2 बाद में आया है, तो these 2 answers are thereby rejected logically. Now you have rise of Pratiharas under the King Bhoja and Pala dynasty founded by Gopal. We know Gopal was a very famous king as a founder of Pala dynasty because he was perhaps the only king who was elected by the people. People came together and elected him to start a dynasty. लोगों जनता से चुना गया राजा. So much so that in when we call India mother of democracy, this instance is always mentioned. In the new parliament, you see बड़ा सा पेंटिंग है वहाँ पे इस चीज़ का, लोग उसको चुन रहे हैं. But anyway, rise of Pratiharas under Bhoja and foundation of Pala by Gopal. यहाँ भी you can very easily see, if you remember this, that Palas are founded somewhere over here and Pratiharas are one of those 36 Rajput dynasties somewhere over here. So Pala should come before Pratiharas. So 4 should come before 1. बस हो गया 2 4 1 3. Simple. Answer is B. Answer is C. Even if you don't know exact years, by only knowing relative location, because of that time series in 3 blocks, this question is easily answerable. There is other way also. साले साल रट लो, but हम ये तो नहीं करेंगे. Generally ये है that these 4 events actually took place in 4 different centuries altogether. Mahendra Varman comes somewhere around 600 to 630. It was him who was dead and Narsingh Varman came, we just now saw 630 में. So it belongs to the 7th century. Gopala was elected around 750 or 760 maybe, but midst of the 8th century. So ये हो गया 8th century. Then you come to Pratiharas. Pratiharas in the midst of 9th century. So you got 9. And Chola power, Parantaka first, is 10th century. तो देखा जाए तो 7 8 9 10 मतलब 600 something, 700 something, 800 something and 900 something. These 4 events are spaced by 100 years each. So it is not a very close match. फिर भी हम confuse होते हैं because we have no clarity of the early medieval time span. That is why this design is going to be extremely helpful. Whatever details you may find in future, इसमें आप ऐड करते जाओगे तो आपकी क्लैरिटी रहेगी, आंसर्स तुरंत हो जाएंगे. ठीक है. Let us come to 196. Who among the following laid the foundation of Rashtrakuta dynasty? It's a very simple question. Answer is Danti Durga. Danti Durga was initially a feudatory, initially in the service of the early Chalukyas. The early Chalukyas had sent one of the Chalukya kings to fight the invading Arabs. उसके साथ उसके इसमें ये था दंती दुर्गा. So he was in the service of Chalukyas, then become independent and formed Rashtrakuta. Answer is B. Let us come to 197. Santarakshita and Deepankara are the terms related to. It is very simple. They were the professors in Nalanda. So scholars of Buddhism. Answer is D. Let us go to 198. Travelers and the dynasties which they mention. Again, it's very simple question. 198. Let us try. Al-Masudi, Suleiman, Marco Polo, Amir Khosrow. You know Amir Khosrow was contemporary to, for example, Alauddin Khilji. तो ये तो गलत है. मार्को पोलो कब इंडिया आया था? First of all, Marco Polo did not come to North India at all. He had come only on coastal India in south and went by. He had gone to China. So Marco Polo की कहानी पूरे, but when he came to South India at that time in south, who was there? Rudramma, very famous queen of Kakatiya. So he visited the Kakatiyas before they were finished by Alauddin Khilji at that time. So again in the 12th 13th century. So Palas were long gone by that point of time. So ये भी गलत है. Now Suleiman was a great ट्रेडर एंड मर्चेंट. सुलेमान उत ताजूर और उत तुज्जर. तुज्जर मतलब जो तजारत करता है, तजारत मतलब ट्रेडर. Suleiman was a trader who came to India. He has left a detailed, vivid account of the three main powers involved in tripartite struggle. That is Palas, Rashtrakutas and Gurjapatiharas. And what he has done interestingly, ये सवाल भी UPSC कभी कभी पूछ सकती है. The terms that he has used for one of them. To Palas, he called them Ruhuma. So Ruhuma is the Arabic word that is used for Palas by Al-Suleiman. For Gurjapatiharas, the word is Jurz, Al-Jurz. He calls them Jurz. And for Rashtrakutas, the word is Palhara. Palhara. When he describes the strength of them, कि भाई इसके पास बहुत घोड़े हैं, इसका बड़ा हाथी है, बड़ा नामचीन, बड़ा शूर योद्धा, he has given lots of descriptions of this. In that, the words that he has used, Jurz for Gurjapatihar, Balhara for Rashtrakutas, Ruma for Palas. By whom? By Suleiman. So ये match हो रहा है. And Al-Masudi actually came a little later in the 10th century, and by that point of time Paramaras were about to emerge. But उसको हमारा time overlap होता है. We don't know much about what details he has given, but we know for sure that by that time Paramaras बनना शुरू हो गए थे. So here you will go with both. Only two pairs are matched. Match the following Rajput states with the capitals. This is an easier question. Let me see how well you do it. Let us try. Gahadwala, Tomaras, Chauhans and Chandelas. Kannauj, Delhi, Jaipur and Ujjain. How many pairs are correct? Let us go with that. Tell me. Gahadwala, was Kannauj the capital? Yes. Kannauj was the capital of Gahadwala. Is correct. Tomaras capital is Delhi, also correct. We know we have Anangapal Tomar in Delhi के outskirt में, NCR में. Even today you have a village called Anangapur. Anangapal Tomar की बड़ी famous कहानी है. दिल्ली का नाम वहाँ से आता है. Delhi becomes capital at the beginning primarily because of Tomars. Then Chauhans. Chauhans occupied area near Jaipur, but at that time there is no Jaipur. Jaipur was formed in the 18th century, right? तो था जयपुर नहीं, उसमें आमेर का किला भी नहीं था. तो प्राइमरीली आपके पास क्या था उस जमाने में? अजमेर. अजमेर वॉज द कैपिटल, नॉट जयपुर. And for Chandels, what was the capital? Khajuraho, not Ujjain. The answer is 2 pairs only. Simple. Let us go to the one more question. Ruler and the kingdom, Gandhidurga, Mayur Sharman and Harichandra. It is an interesting question. एक बात तो clear है, first option is well known. Gandhidurga was the founder of Rashtrakuta, there is no doubt. This part is resolved. अब आएंगे बाकी दोनों. We have Mayur Sharman of Kadamba. It is correct. Kadamba dynasty was there in south of Karnataka. The capital was Banavasi. Banavasi. It's a very famous city, and Kadambas were also quite important locally. But apart from that, this specific character of Mayur Sharman is very famous because he was a little bit a different kind of king. Generally हम क्या देखते हैं in ancient India, if some king has performed Ashwamedha Yagya, the horse sacrifice, it means that he must have achieved some great political feat and now he wants to declare his sovereignty. कोई बड़ा युद्ध जीत लिया, कोई बड़ा भूभाग ले लिया, तो अश्वमेध यज्ञ होता है. So Ashwamedh is symbolic of a great political victory and expansion. But for that entire understanding, this Mayur Sharman is exception. तो मजा आता था, तो उसने अपनी जिंदगी में पता नहीं 10-15 बार अश्वमेध किया है. Although he was not a great conqueror, कुछ युद्ध किए होंगे, but he did not conquer entire Karnataka also. Yet उसके नाम पे 15-20 I don't know कितने बहुत सारे अश्वमेध यज्ञ. मन आ गया तो कर लिया अश्वमेध, ऐसे ही आए हुए. That's why he is a very unique king, Mayur Sharman. But his contribution to Kannada culture, art, language is also very important. So this thing is correct. Then you come to Harichandra. Now Gujra Pratihar जो है, although they emerged at that time in the 8th or 9th century, Gujra Pratihar के दो dynasties थे, two lines. एक line was Harichandra line, which ruled for a couple of centuries earlier, and second was Nagabhatta line. So Harichandra's line and Nagabhatta's line. So when we think of Gujra Pratihar today as a major warrior, we focus on Nagabhatta and his progeny and that's progeny. But there is also another family which little bit earlier century of Gujra Pratiharas, it is Harichandra. ये generally fact पता नहीं होती है, हमने cover कर ली. So this thing is also correct. तो यहाँ पे it will be D, 1, 2 and 3 as well. Let us go to the next question. Question number 201. Which of the following statements regarding Gujra Pratiharas are correct? King Bhoja, a Pratihar king, was a devotee of Vishnu and adopted the title of Adi Varaha. If you don't know, it's a correct fact. Then, according to Arab travelers, the Pratihara rulers had the best cavalry in India. Who is the traveler? Al-Suleiman. Answer is yes. The dissolution of Pratihar empire was due to the frequent raids from the Arab armies of Sindh. It is incorrect. Pratiharas actually were very capably able to defend India against the further Arab invasions. Arabs actually did not stop by conquering Sindh only. It is after Sindh conquest, there are multiple battles and wars, both on land and some via ocean, Arabian Sea. You see multiple attempts, and Gurja Pratiharas actually rise in the power to become very strong dynasty because of their successful defeat of Arabs in multiple occasions. So ये तो गलत है. Rather, why did Gurja Pratihara decline? They declined because of the internal squabble, internal tussle with Palas and Rashtrakutas for the capital of Kannauj. तो internally war की वजह से weak होके वो धीरे धीरे dissipate हो गए. But they did not get destroyed due to the raids of Arabs. Rather, they were very victorious against the Arabs multiple times. So 3 is incorrect. Answer is 1 and 2 only. 1 and 2. Let us go to 202. The term Apabhramsha was used in medieval Sanskrit to denote what? It's an old UPSC question. And the answer here is early forms of some of the modern Indian languages. Huayu is from Prakrit. You go to Apabhramsha and from there we come to today's Marathi, Gujarati, etc., Bengali, Hindi. इन सब के बीच वाले जो फेज है that is अपभ्रंश phase. So answer is C. And this kind of upper language came into existence in early medieval time only, obviously, because for 1000 years before that, Sanskrit and Prakrit are there, and in this second millennium, we have other languages. In between, you have this transition zone, upper languages. 203, with reference to the history of ancient India, Bhavabhuti, Hastimalla and Kshemeshwara were famous what? This question was PYQ. It was supposed to be difficult, but it is actually not difficult, because if you know even Bhavabhuti, आपका काम हो जाएगा. He is actually a very famous playwright, and that name itself is given away. Hastimalla and Kshemeshwara, I don't think that many people knew, and we don't even need to know. इतनी important fact नहीं है जितनी Bhavabhuti है. बट एज अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट हम जो बाद में गूगल करते हैं तब पता चलता है कि हस्तिमल्ल एंड क्षेमेश्वर वेर ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट प्ले राइट्स, एंड यूपीएससी वॉज ट्राइंग टू कन्फ्यूज यू बिकॉज हस्तिमल्ल एंड क्षेमेश्वर वेर ऑल्सो जैन प्ले राइट्स. तो शायद अगर गलती से पता हो तो कन्फ्यूज हो जाए, बट जनरली पता होता ही नहीं है, कन्फ्यूज कैसे होंगे. ओनली भभूति नेम इज इनफ. आंसर इज प्ले राइट्स. बात खत्म. ठीक है, लेट अस गो टू क्वेश्चन 204. With reference to the history of ancient India, which of the following statements is or are correct? Mitakshara was the civil law for upper castes and Daibhaga was the civil law for the lower castes. Is it true? It is not true. The division is not based on upper caste or lower caste. Mitakshara is used across India. Daibhag is used only in the eastern part of India, some parts of Bihar and Odisha, and majorly in Bengal. The division is territorial, not the Varna system or class system. So this part is incorrect. Second, in Mitakshara system, the sons can claim the right to the property during the lifetime of the father, whereas Daibhaga system, it is only after the death of the father that the sons can claim right to the property. सही है गलत है? बिल्कुल सही है. It is true. Mitakshara actually came a little bit earlier than Daibhag. Mitakshara is considered relatively more orthodox than Daibhag. Let us read the third statement first, then I will come to the discussion. The Mitakshara system deals with the matters related to the property held by male members only of a family, whereas Daibhaga system deals with the matters related to property held by both male and female members. अब देखो, आपको समझना क्या है? दो तीन चीजें. Let us try to understand what is happening. In the longer time span, this early Vedic, later Vedic, Mahajanpad, Mauryan Empire, post-mauryan era, Gupta, post-Gupta, early medieval. When I say post-Gupta, early medieval, I mean this part from Gupta to this. This is post-Gupta. Harsha, early Chalukya, Eastern Chalukya, early Chalukyas and Pallavas are post-Gupta. And from then onwards, from here, from around 750 CE onwards till 1200, this thing is considered as early medieval. So post-Gupta and these two are early medieval. That's what I am using here, post-Gupta and early medieval. Now look at the evolution of legal system in ancient India. Here, after Vedic era, in this part, what you have is सूत्रा लिटरेचर. हमने कल बात करी थी. यहाँ पे यू हैव धर्म सूत्रास, जैसे कि यू हैव गृह्य सूत्रास, वैसे ही धर्म सूत्रास. यहाँ पे कुछ किताबें हैं, बट एट सूत्रा एरा got over sometime here. Then in the post-Mauryan era, we have beginning, in the Mauryan post-Mauryan era, we have the beginning of Shastras, Dharma Shastras, जिनको स्मृति बोलते हैं, स्मृतिस. तो यहाँ पे वो एरा शुरू होता है. We have Manu and Yajnavalkya, and then we discussed over here we have Narada, Vishnu, Katyayan and other smritis. So we have Manu. So this is all era of smritis. तो यहाँ पे सूत्र धर्म सूत्रास, यहाँ पे धर्म शास्त्रास. Once that era is also over, we come to early medieval. In early medieval, they don't compose sutras. They don't compose smrutis. Rather, they go for something called as digests, commentaries and digests. What do they do in that? They pick up one single issue, let us say inheritance. This is the issue. So what do they? They would go to all these smrutis and pick up one section of inheritance and compare them and say कि आज के दिन में क्या होना चाहिए. Or they would pick up one smruti and then elaborate on that on one topic. फर्क क्या है देखो. These smrutis were not only about inheritance. Take Manusmruti. Manusmruti में you have inheritance, you have family laws, you have civil laws, you have criminal laws, we have commercial law, contract law, everything. These are a complete document of all different spheres of life and applicable laws as per dharma. So that is Smruti literature. And in different era and different area, different Smrutis were followed. समय चेंज होता है, कानून भी चेंज होना चाहिए. तो मनुस्मृति वॉज मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली यूज्ड इन पोस्ट मौर्यन एरा. इसका इम्पैक्ट अंत तक रहा, बट देर आर अदर स्मृतिज ऑल्सो. द पॉइंट इज दैट हियर यू हैव मिताक्षरा. मिताक्षरा वुड डू वन थिंग. ही वुड टेक सम स्मृति and then Yadnavalkya etc. and explain it only on one dimension of inheritance. तो ये हो गया era of compendium and nibandhas. Now let us understand difference in the Mitakshara and Dayabhaga from our exam point of view. Although I don't expect much to be question repeated, but पूछ लिया है तो पता होना चाहिए. Both of them primarily deal with the inheritance issue, but who is the author? The author of Mitakshara is person called Vijnaneshwar. Vijnaneshwar. He was in the court of Chalukyas. Vikramaditya IV, I guess, Chalukya court in Karnataka. The author of Dayabhaga, on the other hand, is a person called Jimuta Vahana. Jimuta Vahana. He was somewhere in Bengal. That itself should tell you the location where they are practiced. Mitakshara is practiced all across India, and Dayabhaga is only in eastern corner of India. Now, when was this? Around 970, 1000, etc. That's a guess. And when was the other Smriti? We don't know, but later. शायद उसके 100 साल बाद, 150 साल बाद, 100 साल आगे पीछे, बट थोड़ा सा आगे है. How do we know that Dayabhaga is later than Mitakshara? Because Jimutavahan in Dayabhaga has criticized on certain aspects कि मिताक्षर में गलत लिखा है, हम तो किसी और चीज़ को मानेंगे. So he has cleared the difference. But Mitakshara does not refer to Dayabhaga. Dayabhaga refers to Mitakshara. इसलिए ये शायद 100 साल बाद में आया हो. Now, area also I said it is influential throughout India. It is only the eastern part of India, maybe Bengal, Assam, some parts of Odisha and Bihar. And both of these legal compendiums in the British time were translated into English by the same person, Henry Colebrook. So Henry Colebrook translated these into English in the British era of Indology. अब ये होगी एक बात. हाँ, now come to the difference in the content. So the idea is that Jimutavahana's Dayabhaga is actually relatively more liberal than Mitakshara. समझो इसको. तो how do we say that? On two facts. कोई major difference है. एक difference है पिताजी और बेटा, एक है विडो का. So let us look at the second statement first. In the Mitakshara system, the sons can claim the right to the property during the lifetime of the father, whereas in the Dayabhaga system, it is only after the death of the father that the sons can claim the right to the property. Property दो किस्म की होती है, एक family, एक personal. A father would have some property coming from his father and something that he would have earned himself. So ancestral property and personal property. जब फादर को बेटा हो जाएगा, बेटा would by default have access to both of them. But legally, as per Mitakshara, the moment beta is born, father has to share with the son the property. अगर उसको कोई चेंज भी करना है, कुछ बेचना है, कुछ काम करना है, तो ही वुड नीड द सन ऑल्सो टू अप्रूव, फादर जिंदा होते हुए भी. दैट इज द मिताक्षरा सिस्टम. इट इज ट्रू, बट दायभाग इज मोर प्रैक्टिकल. वो कहता है a son can have the claim only after father is dead. Till that point of time, may it be personal or ancestral, father can do whatever he wants with the property. So statement 2 is correct. Now, the Mitakshara system deals with the matters related to property held by male members only, but Daibhaga system deals with the matters related to property held by male and female members of the family. ये गलत है, दोनों में ही फीमेल की बात आती है, दोनों में ही फीमेल की बात आती है. But comparatively, if you say in Daibhaga, the widow gets the property rights of the husband. Mitakshara, widow does not get the, तो डील किया है बट अधिकार नहीं दिए गए हैं in Mitakshara. The interesting point is that because Daibhaga gives right of property to widow, in the eastern India, जब अंग्रेज आए and when zamindari started, there you see the difference. That when zamindari started, the British zamindari after Cornwallis etc., when zamindars used to die, their widows used to get property. Zamindar's family wouldn't like that. So you see, यहाँ पे शुरू होता है excessive sati. तो सती का prevalence बढ़ने में, some historians say that the prevalence of Daibhag and its enforcement by the British in 19th century was also important. सती पुरानी परंपरा है, but उसका instances became more frequent when Daibhag was strictly enforced in Eastern India by British with zamindari system. ये एक, चलो जो कुछ कहानी हो, point है, therefore 2 is right, 3 is wrong in that way. Let's go to 205. Next question. Fourth student of Vajiram. Okay, ठीक है. With reference to the authors and their compositions, which of the following pairs are correctly matched? 205. With reference to Sri Harsha, Sandhyakar Nandi, Somadeva and Halayudha. I think these questions are quite difficult for you. इतना literature नहीं पढ़ते, but UPSC has been asking question on literature, so I thought of covering all the major books. इनको आप अच्छे से revise कर लो, it will definitely come handy. On the other hand, we have Neshadhiya Charitam, Ramacharita, Nalachampu and Abhidhana Ratnamala. Let me explain them. इसमें the first is correct one. Neshadhiya Charitam is a very important charita by Sri Harsha. He is a very great poet and playwright, and this is an important book that we cover generally in the classic era. Sandhyakar Nandin, Ramacharita, this is also correct. He was in the court of a Pala king called Rampal in Bengal, and he composed that long poem of Ramacharita, which is very interesting because it has got two matlab. If you read from one side, it means the story of Rama from Ramayana, and it also means from the other side or the other meaning the story of the king Ramapal of Pala Empire. So Rampal की कहानी भी है और राम की कहानी भी. Every single line has got that double meaning. It's a very important Ramacharita, Sandhyakar Nandin. Then Somadeva actually is not the author of Nalachampu. Okay. Somadeva is the author of other book which is very famous, Yashas Tilaka Champu. First of all, you should not get surprised. What is Champu? Champu means a kind of a writing जहाँ पे prose and poetry are mixed up. Some lines are versified, some are in. So गद्य पद्य जोड़ दिया गया है ना, कविता और पद्य में अलग नहीं रखा, पद्य गद्य साथ में है. That is called Champu, and it's a tradition in Sanskrit of writing Champu. So Somadeva composed a very famous book, Yashastilaka Champu. He was a Jain person. So Jain, he was Jain in somewhere in Deccan and South India, and he wrote this poem. Okay. The author of Nalachampu is other person called Trivikram Bhatta. तो ये चेंज हो गया है, so this is incorrect. Fourth, Halayudha writing Abhidhana Ratnamala is correct. Halayudha was an important scholar in Rashtrakuta era, Rashtrakuta domain, in Rashtrakuta court. and Rashtrakutas are known to have patronized lots of Jain scholars and non-Jain scholars, and one of them was Halayuda. Halayuda actually is known for other thing apart from this Abhidhan Ratnamala, which is important lexicon. There is other writing, and that is called Murta Sanjeevani. Murta Sanjeevani, and that book is a very great comment on another book called Pingala's Chanda Shastra. I know बहुत सारे नाम मैं स्प्रिंकल कर रहा हूँ, but Pingala's Chanda Shastra is a very important post Vedic book. उसके ऊपर जो कमेंट्री लिखी है मूर्त संजीवनी by Halayuda, that is very famous in Rashtrakuta court. But Halayuda has also written another lexicon called Abhidhana Ratnamala. So यहाँ पे 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Answer is B. Okay, Champu are very popular in ancient India, medieval India, even in as long as in 17th century. We have Jairam Pinde writing Radha Madhava Vilasa Champu. That Radha Madhava Vilasa Champu was written in the court of Shahajiraje Bhosle, Shivaji's father, about the conquest of South India. So we have those things, but anyway, we have Champu Kavya, lots of them are Champus. Let us come to next question, 206. The Cholas defeated Pandya and Chera rulers and established their domination over peninsular India in the early medieval times. Yes, it is correct. Very simple. The Cholas sent an expedition against Shailendra Empire of Southeast Asia and conquered some of the areas. Also correct. We know the Kadaram conquest. He went to two places, Kadaram and Bhujanga Valley, and also the Shailendra region. So both 1 and 2 are correct. Answer is B. Very simple question. Go to next question. Which of the following was a corporation of merchants in ancient India? Chaturvedi Mangalam, Parishad, Ashtadigaja and Manigrama. Now this is a simple question. I want you to answer. Anybody? What is the answer to this question? 207. Yes, answer is D. Correct. Manigrama. In Chola Empire, we have lots of important mercantile corporations. The most famous is Ayyavole or Aihole 500. So Namita 500. Na kya kare? Then we have Nana Deshi. We have Anju Vannam. And we have Manigramam. These are the guilds of the merchants and traders who are engaged in foreign trade. इसके अलावा भी we have various nagarams, urban guilds, we have Shankarpaddi, etc., the local craft guild and producer farmers guilds. But these four are important merchant trader guilds who are interested in foreign trade. Ayyavole 500 is the biggest one, the most popular and most important, most powerful in India at that time, with trade from Africa possibly, but definitely till Southeast Asia and China. Nana Deshi also used to trade with various countries. Their inscriptions are found not only in India but also in Myanmar region of Burma. Anju Vannam is interesting. It was actually a guild of not Indian traders trading outside India, but outside traders trading inside India. On the Kerala coast, जितने foreigners आते थे अफ्रीका से वगैरह, उनका जो corporation था, it was called Anju Vannam, and they were given special treatment by the local kings. And then we have Manigramam. Its inscription also found in Southeast Asia, China, etc. So it is also a trading guild. So answer is correctly D. Manigramam. Manigrama. Then the imperial Cholas are pioneers in local self-government. In this context, consider the following statements. Uttara Merur inscriptions provide details of the formation of function of village councils. Correct, very simple. Uttara Merur inscriptions, not inscription, but inscriptions. Two of them are there on the walls of a temple at a place called Uttara Merur, belong to the era of Parantaka. Parantaka was in Chingalput district, old Chingalput. Both qualifications and disqualifications were mentioned for members of various committees, also very correct. And thirdly, members of committee were called Veriya Perumakkal. Correct, Veriya Perumakkal. Veriya Perumakkal. So they are members of committee members. That is also correct. Answer is D, 1, 2 and 3. Go to question number 209. Rajendra Chola, statement 1, introduced Maligai coal, a standardized measuring unit. Now this fact is important fact. Coal. Coal is a stick or a rod that is used for measurement purpose. In different regions, different rods were used of different length, but now it was standardized by Rajendra first. So this statement is correct. Statement 2, Rajendra Chola's son Arumoli Varman built the famous Brudeshwara temple. Now it is true that Arumoli Varman built. His other name, Arumoli Varman's name was Raja Chola, and he has built the temple of Brudeshwara. It is correct, but he was not the son of Rajendra. Rather, Rajendra was the son of Raja. तो बाप बेटा का पेड़ उल्टा कर दिया. That is why this statement is wrong. Although we end up focusing on Raja was known as Arumoli Varman and he built Brudeshwara temple. So correct. So next part is correct. First part is wrong. Therefore, this statement is wrong. Answer will be C. 1 is correct, 2 is wrong. Okay. It's very interesting. Thanks to Ponin Sullivan, I remember it. Correct, Venkatesh. PS1. Let us wait for PS2 now. You know who is the original author of this PS1, PS2? किताब किसकी है ये original? Very famous books. Anybody? Written back in 1950s. Kalki, correct. Kalki. With reference to the Chola society, consider the following statements. Question number 210. There was a defined Varna system like North India? No, it was not there. Slavery was not prevalent? Well, it was there always. Castes were divided into Valangai and Idangai. It is correct. Valangai and Idangai actually south mein hua ye that from Chola era onwards gradually you see the clustering of two caste groups rather than Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, etc. In south after around 9th or 10th century the major division is on these two lines, Idangai and Valangai, right hand and left hand. The one people were mostly involved in trade considered superior and other people were involved in the craft and considered inferior. उनके आपस में काफ़ी झगड़े हुए. दरबार में भी राइट हैंड एंड लेफ्ट हैंड एटसेट्रा. जैसे भी हो, but this is the division, so it is true. The answer is only 3. Let's go to 211. Regarding the local administration in Chola Empire, consider the following pairs. Pur, Mahasabha and Agraharas. Pur was of all the people and Mahasabha and Sabha was only of Brahmanas in Brahman villages. So Ur should be General Assembly of local people. So this question goes like this. And Mahasabha was the exclusive assembly of the Brahmana residents only. So it becomes like this. And Agraharas are rent-free land and villages. That is true. But they were given generally to Brahmins only. So this is again 3 only. Answer is 3 only. Correct. Let us go to 212. The hostilities between the powers to the north and to the south of Tungabhadra river became a regular and recurrent feature during the early medieval times. This hostility pattern was seen between which of the following kingdoms? Chalukya Pallava, Pallava Rashtrakuta, Rashtrakuta Chola. ये भी बड़ा interesting है. If you can map it on the timeline, that we have Deccan over here and we have south. If you go here, we have first of all early Chalukyas. Let us say this is a timeline. Then we have Rashtrakutas. The early Chalukyas are from Chalukyas of Badami or Vatapi, Rashtrakutas, and then you have later Chalukya, or we call them Kalyani Chalukya. इसके बाद आपके पास आते हैं you have Hoysala, Kakatiya and Yadava. While this is going on, what is happening in South India? We have Pallavas, right? So Pallavas start much earlier, and they continue till here. So change the color. Pallavas began in somewhere in third century, etc. They ruled for a few centuries, and then the dip of Kalabhra revolt. Then they came back, and now they are continuing here, and then replaced by Cholas. And they would fight for Tungabhadra and other regions. So there is this debate, there is this debate, this debate. Early Chalukya Pallava, Rashtrakuta Pallava, Rashtrakuta Chola. लेटर चालुक्य चोला भी बाद में झगड़ा हुआ है, वो भी है, बट हम ऑप्शन में दिया नहीं है, वो कोई बात नहीं है. तो ऑल थ्री ऑफ देम आर करेक्ट. एडिशनली दिस ऑल्सो इज करेक्ट, लेटर चालुक्य एंड चोलास. तो यहाँ पे 1, 2 and 3 वुड बी द आंसर. दिस इज एन इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन जो हमने मतलब आई प्रिपेयर्ड इट टुडे मॉर्निंग ओनली. हाउ मेनी ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पेयर्स इज और आर करेक्टली मैच्ड? तो विक्रमादित्य सेकंड, कांचीकोंडा, नरसिंहवर्मन, वाटापीकोंडा, परंतका फर्स्ट, मदुरई कोंडा, राजेंद्र फर्स्ट, गंगईकोंडा. कितने सही है? लेट अस सी हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू कैन गिव द करेक्ट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन. When you say Konda, Konda means victor or conqueror. So when you conquer some great place, you get your title or biruda based on that. So you have Vikramaditya II, Kanchi Konda. Is it correct? Yes. Vikramaditya II came from the Chalukya dynasty and he was opposed to Pallava. He conquered Pallava, defeated them. So Kanchi was their capital, Kanchi Konda. We have Narasimhavarman. He took the badla of his father's defeat. He instead from Pallava side defeated the Chalukyas. The Chalukya capital was Badami or Vatapi. So he called himself Vatapi Konda. The second is also correct. Come to the third one, Parantaka first, Madurai Konda. Parantaka first is a Chola king. And to south of Cholas, हमें लगता है चोल साउथ में थे, but let me tell you one more thing. If you look at the map of South India, Cholas were here. उनके भी साउथ में यहाँ पे you had Madurai Pandyas, Pandyas of Madurai. So we have Parantaka first of Cholas defeating Pandyas and looting the capital Madurai Konda. And then we have Rajendra first who went to north at the time of Mahipal and defeated. He did not go himself, he went till Andhra and his general went ahead, but एक ही बात है. And defeated the Palas. So Ganga का पानी लेके आ गए, Gangai Konda. So all the four pairs are correct. Answer is D. Answer is D. Correct. Answer is D. Then you have, with reference to the Chola Empire, match the following: Kadamai, land revenue; Dharmasan, ruler's court; and Manayari, हाउस टैक्स. इसका आंसर, ये टर्म्स के ऊपर सवाल है, कई बार नहीं पता होता है, तो यहाँ पे द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट टर्म्स आर दीज टू. हाउस टैक्स इज एक्चुअली करेक्ट तो तीनों है, बट दीज टू टर्म्स आर मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. यू शुड रिमेंबर देम. कदमई इज लैंड रेवेन्यू इन चोला एम्पायर, दिस टर्म इज इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड धर्मासन इज द प्लेस फ्रॉम वेयर यू डू जस्टिस. यहाँ से न्याय होता है. धर्मासन, राजा के दरबार से न्याय होता है, तो रूलर्स कोर्ट. ठीक है, तो दिस टू. एंड देन यू हैव मनाइरी, दैट इज हाउस टैक्स, एडिशनल टर्म दैट यू डोंट नो. ठीक है, याद रहे ना रहे, आई एम नॉट मच वरीड अबाउट दिस टर्म, बट दिस टू टर्म्स आर टेक्निकली जनरली मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट. ठीक है, so I finished the political aspect of early medieval now. We have Southern Bhakti and Vedantic Acharyas. 9 तो बज गए वैसे. Do we have capacity or should we stop today? We started 1 hour late. 6 बजे शुरू करना पड़ा आज. रुके आगे चले. See, now we will have to enter into the domain of Bhakti movement and Acharyas. Chalo, 30 minutes more. Continue. Voting. Let's take some voting. Please respond very quickly. Okay, Santosh Sir is saying please continue. So, चलो continue करते हैं. Okay, let us try to cover Bhakti movement Acharya also. 215. Which of the following sequences indicates the correct chronological order? This question is actually very simple. If you know the story of the evolution of the philosophy, and if you don't know, rat lo. The first person is Shankaracharya. After Shankara comes Ramanuj. The actual sequence is Shankar. Then we have Ramanuj. के बाद you have two people. The dating is not very well clear. तो उसमें एक आता है निम्बार्क एंड दूसरे हैं मध्व. Not माधव but मध्व. And then later on we have Vallabhacharya of Pushti Marga in north, and then we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of all these people, everybody is Acharya, everybody is Vedantic Acharya, but Shankar is not Vaishnav, everybody else is Vaishnav. So Shankar is Nirgun, everybody else is Vaishnav. That is one. Secondly, everybody has given some version और perspective of Vedanta. तो हर एक के अपने अपने नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है शायद आगे कहीं पे, वी कंपेयर किसका वेदांत कौन सा है, दैट टाइम वी विल सी द डिफरेंस, नॉट डिफरेंस बट द मैच द फॉलोइंग पेयर्स. देन ऑफ ऑल दिस पीपल इट इज निम्बार्क, वल्लभ एंड चैतन्य. These three people have direct role in the revival of Mathura Vrindavan region today. This topic may become important this year or next year, so you should know Nimbarka, Vallabh and Chaitanya, they have huge role in reviving the religious landscape of Mathura, Gokul, Vrindavan region. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself sent his 6 Gosais to find out the places, the geographic places, the locations where Krishna performed Leelas. वहीं पे जाके मंदिर बने आगे after अकबर का time. तो ये सीक्वेंस है, तो यहाँ पे this sequence would be a correct sequence. Answer is A. Let us go to the next point. The world's second tallest statue is sitting in the sitting pose of Ramanuja. Is जब ओखली में सर डाला तो सर कुचलने का डर कैसा? Let us complete this. अच्छा, okay. Which of the following statement is correct regarding Ramanujacharya? And the question is very simple. If you know basic philosophy, Shankaracharya talks about Maya, Maya Mahathagani Hamajani. He talks about 2 levels of truth. He talks about Atman, Brahman being the same thing. He talks about Jnana Marga, fundamentally the path of knowledge. On the other hand, Ramanuj tries to fit Vishnu somewhere in this scheme of things, and he says Jnana Marga is all well and fine, but more easier and more important is Bhakti Marga. तो डिवोशन को वापस लाने का काम जो किया है वो किया रामानुज ने है. तो द बेस्ट मीन्स ऑफ साल्वेशन इज डिवोशन इज द करेक्ट आंसर. शंकर फॉर ज्ञान, रामानुज एंड ऑनवर्ड्स एवरीबडी एल्स इज फॉर भक्ति. तो डिवोशन इज भक्ति. आंसर इज ए. लेट्स गो टू 217. कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स रिगार्डिंग इंपॉर्टेंट भक्ति सेंट्स शंकरा फ्रॉम केरला एंड रामानुज फ्रॉम तमिलनाडु. ऑल्दो द क्वेश्चन का फ्रेमिंग थोड़ा सा गलत है. दीज आर नॉट भक्ति सेंट्स, बट कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. नाउ हियर यू हैव टू कंपेयर द टू, Shankar and Ramanuj, and see the difference. Both Shankar and Ramanuj are contemporaries, and they believed in non-dualism, that is God and created world is one and the same. On both counts it is wrong. Both of them are not contemporary. Shankar came from 8th century, Ramanuj from 10th 11th centuries. बीच में 200 साल का अंतर है. Shankar comes from before the time of Cholas. Ramanuj is contemporary to Chola. There is one Chola king who actually ousted Ramanuj from his place, and he had to go outside Chola domain and take ashraya in Karnataka. ठीक है. So both of them are not contemporary. And secondly, Shankara believes in Advait, but Ramanuj believes in Vishishta Advait, qualified dualism, non-dualism. So one is incorrect on both the counts. Go to second statement. Shankara argued that the way forward to salvation was strengthened by knowledge. It is correct. या मुद्या सा विद्या या विमुक्तये, वही ज्ञान कहलाएगा जो मुक्ति दिलाएगा. बाकी सारा विज्ञान है. वो डिफरेंस इन ज्ञान एंड विज्ञान इन संस्कृत इज दिस. ज्ञान इज ओनली दैट नॉलेज which helps you to achieve salvation. Everything else is just Vigyan. So that is one thing. So it is correct, Jnana Margi, 2 is correct. Ramanuja argued that the grace of God is more important than the knowledge about him in order to attain salvation. Correct. You have to have grace, then only you can go ahead. So 3 is also correct. So he is de-emphasizing Jnana Marga and focusing more on Bhakti Marga. How do you get grace of God? When you go complete Sharan to God, complete surrender. There is a notion that was developed at that time by Ramanuja onwards by these Bhakti philosophers. It is called as Prapatti. You have to finish your ego and completely surrender yourself to the God. Complete Sharan Jana is Prapatti. Ramanuja onwards it becomes important notion in Bhakti. And only then you can get a grace of God. Then Shankara upheld the Vedas as the fountainhead of true knowledge, and Ramanuja believed that the path to Bhakti was open to all, irrespective of caste. It is also very true. The question also talks about Purana wala question, that the statue of Ramanujacharya is called statue of equality. There is a reason for that, because irrespective of caste, touchable, untouchable, upper, lower, जो कुछ caste हो, irrespective of the social context and background, Ramanuja would ordain everybody into bhakti mode. हर एक को मुक्ति का रास्ता दिखा दिया. तो irrespective of caste, भले वेद जो कहे ना कहे, भक्ति का point वही है. So on 2, 3 and 4 it is correct, 1 is wrong. Answer would be B, 2, 3 and 4. Let us go to question 218, 218, philosophy and the founder. Let us see how many of you can answer this question. बताइए. शंकर, रामानुज, निम्बार्क, मध्व, वल्लभ, चैतन्य and Aurobindo. I will not cover the table for you. It will be for you to Google. I will just hint at the possible philosophies. आपको भरना है और रटना है थोड़ा सा. What is Shankar? It is Advait. Advait Vedanta. Ramanuj is qualified monism. So Vishishtha Advait. In the class we study it at detail for 1.5 hours to almost 1.5 घंटा to see the difference कैसे ये evolve हुआ. But right now it is not possible, not necessary. तो इस टेबल को आपको याद करना होगा बस. Then Nimbarka would be both Dvait and Advait, Dvaita Dvait, or as they call it Bhed Abhed, Bheda Bhed. So Dvaita Dvait Vedanta. Or Madhva, Madhva is the one who stands exactly opposite to Shankara. Shankara says Advait, Madhva says completely only and only Dvait. So Dvaita Vedanta. Vallabh, Vallabh actually purifies Shankara. He says Maya Biya kuch nahi, sab Bhagwan ke leela hai. I believe in Shankara, but I don't believe in Maya, because Maya is impurity. Let me remove the Maya and then accept Shankara. Automatically Nirgun Brahma will become Sagun. Sab Krishna ki leela hai. So it becomes Shuddha Advait. Shuddha Advait. अब चैतन्य एंड औरबिंदो को आपको भरना होगा गूगल करके. इफ यू कैन गूगल इट, प्लीज टाइप इट हियर एंड टेल मी. ठीक है, कि व्हाट इज द फिलोसॉफी ऑफ चैतन्य महाप्रभु एंड औरबिंदो. इन केस ऑफ दिस, व्हाट इज द अद्वैत वर्जन ऑफ देम, और द्वैत वर्जन और वेदांतिक वर्जन रादर का क्या है आप बताइए. ठीक है, ये आपका होमवर्क हो गया. So this is, if you come back to question, then what would be the answer? Answer would be Shankaracharya. This is this, this is this, and this is this. So 1 and 3 are correct. Answer is C. Right? Yes, correct. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is achintya bheda bheda. You cannot think about it कि कब भेद है और कब अभेद है. It is both at the same time. He says Dvaita, Advaita, both of them are true. At the same time, God decides to be either Dvaita or Advaita, and you cannot know when God is doing what. Achintya, Bhed, Abhed, both. That is his Leela, Chaitanya. And what is Aurobindo telling us? अब वो बताइए. What is Aurobindo telling us? What is his Vedanta version? Meanwhile, I will go ahead. 219. With reference to the ancient India, consider the following statement. Shankaracharya opposed idol worship. According to Madhvacharya, knowledge, karma and devotion, all three are necessary for attainment of salvation. अब इसमें Shankaracharya does not believe in Sagun in a way. He says that Ishwar is Nirgun, Nirakar. So this Brahman is achintaniya. It is completely beyond your comprehension. It is pure consciousness. Okay? Pure consciousness, the word is Ananda Rupa Shivoham for him. So this statement appears to be false, but actually it is not false. Shankaracharya has clearly said that reality is at two levels, at practical level and at the paramarthic level, at the spiritual level and at the vyavaharik level. So vyavaharik and paramarthic, practical and spiritual, he says two level reality is there. At the paramarthic level, at spiritual level, there is no Murti Puja, there is no Sagun Brahma, there is only Nirgun and Nirgun. So idol worship is immaterial, it is false consciousness, it is Maya. But at the practical level, not everybody can understand it every day. It cannot happen every day. You don't have time, you don't have comprehension, don't have understanding. So practically Murti Puja chalne do, koi dikkat nahi. But ultimately it is different thing. So he did not oppose Murti Puja, he just put it in a perspective. In daily life it is okay. Rather, not only he put in perspective, he himself composed many shlokas. Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mooda Mate. He is saying that. इसने काशी पंचकम लिखा है काशी के बारे में. He has written lots of composition for different gods. In Saundarya Lahari, he talks about Shiva and Parvati in detail. So उन्होंने मूर्ति पूजा के बारे में कंपोजिशन भी किए हुए हैं. बट ही सेज अल्टीमेटली इन द पारमार्थिक लेवल मूर्ति पूजा डजंट होल्ड एनी वाटर. So he did not oppose it as such. So second statement, first statement is wrong and second is correct. Answer is only 2, that is B. Okay, it is only 2. Let's go ahead to 220. Consider the following statements regarding Shankaracharya. He propounded Advaita philosophy. It is true. Point 1 is correct. He was influenced by Hinayan Buddhist philosophy. No, he was influenced by Buddhism but not Hinayan. You know, उन्होंने बुद्धिज्म से क्या लिया था? He actually had taken one very important idea from Buddhism and incorporated it into his philosophy. That is the idea of Maya. Maya concept did not exist in that detail in the Vedantic thought earlier in Gaudapada or Brahma Sutra etc. Badarayana's Brahma Sutra. शंकराचार्य वो दुश्मन से भी चीज़ जो अच्छी है सीख के अपने में incorporate कर ले. That is his greatness also. But what happened because of that? That this Maya thing that was the influence of Mahayan Buddhism of Nagarjuna Shunyata, Mahayan influence, not Hinayan, Mahayan influence. But then his other people started to call him, you are a hidden Buddhist, you are using Buddhist ideas, you are Prachanna Buddha, hidden Buddhist or incognito, Buddhism in Buddhist incognito. That is what he was called as, crypto Buddhist. Crypto Buddhist was the word, hidden Buddhist के लिए. So लिया तो था but not from Hinayan but from Mahayan, the idea of Shunyata, void, which was given by our famous person Nagarjuna. It influenced Shankaracharya, उन्हें pick कर लिया वहाँ से. So statement 2 is incorrect. 1 is right, 2 is wrong. He gave priority to knowledge for the liberation of soul. Yes, we discussed Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. So 3 is correct. So 1 and 3 are correct. Answer is C, 1 and 3. Let's go to next question. Which of the following were the main features of Bhakti movement? Intense love and devotion as the means for salvation. Yes, correct. Rejection of rituals and ceremonies. Again, very simple. भक्ति में आपकी नवविधा भक्ति होती है, 9 विधास, नाम जपना हो या फिर सिंपल भजन कीर्तन करना हो. You don't have to go for actual rituals of home, havan, yajna, etc. It's very simple. Need for a true guru to realize God. It is also correct. In bhakti movement, guru का महिमा बड़ा important है. Guru only tells you how to do all these things. And then personal connection with the God. Bhakti is about your own personal. Your kuladevata may be different. Village Gava Devata may be different. Different Kuladevata, different Grama Devata, but you have your own personal God, Ishta Devata, that you pray to. उसकी आराधना आप करते हो. So you have to have personal. और जब God personal होता है तभी पूरा प्यार, पूरा attention, पूरा शरण. तो यहाँ पे 1, 2, 3 and 4 all of them are correct. Answer is D. Very simple. Come to, अब ये क्वेश्चन भी क्वेश्चन थोड़ी है. Who were the Alvars? ठीक है सर, प्लीज टेल सम पॉइंट अबाउट श्रीकांताचार्य. व्हाट अबाउट दैट कुणाल अधिकारी? आई एम नॉट श्योर एग्जैक्टली इन व्हाट कॉन्टेक्स्ट यू आर आस्किंग अबाउट इट, बट लेट अस ट्राई टू डिस्कस दिस. हु वर द अलवर्स इमर्स्ड इन द डिविजन ऑफ विष्णु? वेरी सिंपल. अगर आप कंफ्यूज हो रहे हो अलवर्स एंड नयनार्स में, तो सिंपल याद रखो दैट अलवर में वी आता है. वी इज फॉर विष्णु. नयनार में वी नहीं आता है, इट इज फॉर शिवा. वैष्णव एंड शैव. हु composed Tirumurai, the famous treatise of South India, which was also known as fifth Veda? Anybody? Tirumurai. Tirumurai actually symbol बता दूं आपको इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, that in case of Alvars the most important book is the 400 poems put together, Nalayira Divya Prabandham. Nalayira Divya Prabandham. It is the most important book of Alvars, and for Nayanars the most important book is Tirumurai. But Tirumurai is not one book. It has got actually 12 books into it, 1 to up to 12. और वो सदियों तक उसमें जुड़ते गए. उसमें से जो पहले 7 किताबें, first 7 out of 12, they are called as Tirumurai. Tirumurai. And then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like I think 9th or 10th number is Periya Puranam, and other books are there which were later compositions. Now the compiler of Tirumurai, especially these first 7, is Nambi. Nambi Andiyar Nambi. So here name is Nambi. Very important one. Who is the compiler of Nalayira Divya Prabandham? ये आप मुझे बताइए अब गूगल करके. Let us try. One simple name. ठीक है. So let us come back to the question so far. That who composed Tirumurai? Nambi Andiyar Nambi. He came from Chola era. By this point of time, Nayanars were gone. Nayanar era was over. Pallava era was over. Chola had come, and in that Chola era, in the temple, in the Taikhana of the चिदम्बरम टेम्पल, बहुत किताबें मिली जिसके ऊपर धूल पड़ी थी, कीड़े खा रहे थे. उसको उठा के ले आए नंबी साहब, उसको दोबारा रचा गया, ठीक से अरेंज किया गया, एंड उसके बाद वो बड़ी फेमस कहानी है. एंड देन द कंपोजिशंस ऑफ नयनार्स वेयर संग इन द टेम्पल्स ऑफ शैवा, टेम्पल्स ऑफ चोला एम्पायर सिंस देन टिल टुडे. अब इस चीज़ को 1000 साल हो गए, एक दिन भी चुका नहीं है वो गाना वहाँ पे, तब से लेके आज तक. बट एनीवे, सो नंबी इज इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सन ईयर. देन वी आर 2024 224. Which among the following statements are correct? Nalayira Divya Prabandham is an anthology of Alvars and composition. We have just seen that. It is correct. Then Tevaram is a collection of Shaiva hymns. Correct also again. Then Nalayira Divya Prabandham is also described as Tamil Veda. It is also correct. Who call it Tamil Veda? Actually हुआ ये कि this Vaishnavism became more popular with Ramanuj. Ramanuj actually gave equal importance to Sanskrit compositions like Vedas and Tamil ones like Nalaira Divya Prabandham. But after Ramanuj, उनकी जो परंपरा थी उसमें लोग बट गए. Some people said Sanskrit is superior to Tamil. Some people say no, Tamil is important than Sanskrit. We have these two factions in the post-Ramanuja tradition within his philosophy of Sri Vaishnavism. Sri Vaishnavism. Sri माने Lakshmi and Vishnu. Lakshmi Vishnu. Sri Vaishnavism. So in that scheme of thing, जब भी बात होती कि तमिल संस्कृत आर इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट, तब लोग कहते हैं नालर दिव्य प्रबंधम हैज द स्टेटस ऑफ तमिल वेदा. सो फिफ्थ वेदा कहो, तमिल वेदा कहो, तो नालर दिव्य प्रबंधम इज ऑल्सो डिस्क्राइब्ड एज तमिल वेदा. इट इज ऑल्सो करेक्ट. सो आंसर इज 1, 2 and 3. आंसर इज सी. लेट अस गो टू 225. ठीक है. तरुण इज सेइंग करेक्टली नाथ मुनि. ठीक है. So the compiler of Nalaira Divya Prabandham is Nath Muni. Nath Muni was important preceptor of Sri Vaishnavism. उसमें 3 लोग माने जाते हैं, Nath Muni, यमुनाचार्य and then comes रामानुजाचार्य. रामानुज के पहले वाले लोग यमुनाचार्य and Nath Muni. ठीक है. So वहाँ पे in Shaivism we had Nalaira, we have Nambi, Ambiyar Nambi. तो यहाँ पे we have Nath Muni. He is the compiler of Nalaira. Nalaira का मतलब ही होता है 4000. It means 4000 in Tamil. तो 4000 दिव्य रचनाएं. बस simple. Okay. Let us go ahead. Who among the following is not a woman Nayanar sent? Now we all know that Alvar were totally, Alvar कितने थे? Total Alvar saints were 12 and Nayanars were 63. Of these 12 Alvar saints, only one was woman, and of 63 Nayanar saints, 3 were women. तो सवाल इससे अच्छा सा बनता है, कौन थे? तो in this question we have given all the 4 names. Of these 4 names, 3 are Nayanar women and 1 is Alvar woman. Saints. So who are those? Any answer? 225? Anybody? Apart from Tarun, आपने बड़ी स्टोरी नहीं देखी फेमस हो? अरे you know that Krishnadevaraya of Vijayanagar Empire, Rajadiraj Krishnadevaraya. So he has written a book Amukta Malyada, very famous one. Everybody remembers that Amukta Malyada. UPSC can ask any time. Amukta Malyada, there is some section which talks about politics and governance and economy, everything. But what is the fundamental story of Amukta Malyada? Fundamental story of Amukta Malyada is a marriage between Andal and Vishnu in the form of Ranganatha Swami in the temple in south. So it's a Vishnu and Andal इतनी बड़ी भक्त बन गई, उसको शादी करनी थी विष्णु से, उसी के अंदर समाहित हो गई. तो जो शादी है that is portrayed in the poetry in Amukta Malyada by Krishnadevaraya. So Andal is a very famous and only one female Alavar saint. In case of Nayanar, we have 3 female saints out of 63. Isenaniyar, Manikavashagar, etc. and Karaikkalamayyar. तो ये 3 जो है वो नयनार है. Andal is only one female from Alavars. Then 226. Consider the following statements about Veerashaivas. स्पेलिंग थोड़ा गलत हो गया, वीरशैव चाहिए था. Veerashaivas movement. The movement was initiated by a Brahmin named Basavanna. यहाँ पे थोड़ा डिबेट है actually. We'll go with this statement as right. But if you dig little deeper, we come to know that some people say that it was already there. But tradition accepts that he was the founder. ठीक है. The Veerashaivas were very critical towards Brahmanical ideas of caste, rituals and idol worship. It is also very true. They are known to be very unorthodox in social reform. They reject the Vedic ideas of conservatism and focus on social reform a lot on both caste angle and gender angle. Even though they have advocated for equal rights of women, they were not supportive of remarriage of widows. Well, this is completely untrue. They were supportive of remarriage also. So यहाँ पे 3 is incorrect. So answer is 1 and 2 only. That is the end of the first half of Bhakti movement. हम दो बार देखेंगे, एक बार आज, एक बार बाद में. Right now I have covered Bhakti of only South India. Later on I will cover Bhakti of North India along with Sufism also. वो अलग से देखना पड़ेगा हमें. ठीक है? Any doubts so far? चले आगे. आर्किटेक्चर करें. We have stupas, caves and temples also. हम थोड़ा स्लो चले. कल काफ़ी फास्ट चले थे. कल वी कवर्ड 120-130 क्वेश्चंस. टुडे वी हैव रीच्ड टू, अभी तक टुडे वी हैव कवर्ड ओनली 100 क्वेश्चंस इन लास्ट 3.5 आवर. तो क्या करें बताइए. कंटिन्यू. Rock is asking difference between Lingayat, Virashaiva. Rock, let us take them to be same for us. The difference came much later, and that is also very finer difference. It doesn't make, it is not relevant for us in our context. We will take them to be the same. Okay. Virashaiva because they were heroic Shaiva, and Lingayat because they used to carry small Shivalinga on their body as Ishtalinga. They would not go to Shiva temple. They would have their own Ishtalinga. Okay. यस रुकते हैं आप. ठीक है. आई ऑल्सो थिंक वी शुड स्टॉप. 9:30 बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाते हैं. 3.5 घंटे हो गए. विल कवर लॉट्स ऑफ थिंग टुमारो. विल स्टार्ट एट 5 o'clock एंड ट्राई टू एक्सटेंड इट एज मच एज पॉसिबल. ठीक है. लेट अस स्टॉप नाउ एंड हैव अ गुड नाइट एंड थैंक यू. Shankaracharya also meditation. देखो रॉक meditation is a technique that is used, but it is just a technique of facilitation. Ultimately it's about ज्ञान, but that ज्ञान is not only cognitive, it is a spiritual knowledge. ठीक है. किताब पढ़ के जो आता है उस ज्ञान की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं वो. ठीक है. ठीक है. Let us stop. Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow at 5 o'clock. It will be both offline and online. So those of you who want to come offline can come offline. You can have a print copy here and also ask me questions in front of me. ठीक. चलो टाटा. Good night. Okay.